The following live broadcast is rated MA for mature. Content is not suitable for audiences under the age of 18 years old. Please watch with discretion. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow Ear Shoulder Voice on YouTube and Facebook, or visit our website at www.earshouldervoice.com.
We've got to work together.
Oh God, yeah. Oh shit. Oh God. Yeah, get. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Ear Shoulder Voice. Sorry, I was just checking my text messages out there. Well, who am I kidding? You know what I'm doing. I mean, it's not a secret. I was talking to my aunt in Sheboygan. That's what it was. It was just a good conversation. I don't want to tell you what it really was because it's so taboo. It's such a bad subject to talk about. It can be so embarrassing for people. Nobody ever likes to talk about a particular topic unless it's not in the presence of others they're doing it with. You know, guys will sit around and boast about this topic we're doing tonight, but they won't boast in front of that woman. And women will also do it. Don't be fucking fooled. Women are the same way, too. Women will talk about one of our favorite things in the world, even as a human in humanity, what we enjoy most of all. Whether we're mad, we'll make up for it. Whether we're happy, we'll just show that happiness. Whether we're just horny, let's talk about sex, baby, because that is the topic of the show tonight. We're going to discuss everything we can about sex, including activities, possibly some things that might be considered taboo, things that experimentation, teenage dating, everything we can to try and fill it in. Is it as important as it once was? Is sex a actual prerequisite to even dating anymore? It used to be you'd date and you'd have sex, and now it's like you got to have sex to find out if you're going to date. Is that change a good thing or a bad thing? We're going to discuss it with everybody, but we can't have sex alone. Well, we can. I think I just proved that. But typically, you don't have sex alone and brag about it. You do it with friends, and we've got friends here tonight. Let's meet our panel. All right, our first panelist of the evening is going to be somebody who has a very large experience, not really necessarily in the activity of sex, though they probably have that too, but in the relation to it and the dynamics behind it and learning about the emotional impacts it has on people and the way it affects humanity in general. He's got a more psychological input. He's actually been studying it. Please welcome Dominic. Dominic, how you doing?
Good. How's it going on your end, Keith?
It's going really good now. I mean, I'm feeling good now. I'm just saying.
I was going to say, yeah, you have the glow right now.
I do. I've got that magic glow. It's one of my favorite topics, one of the things I enjoy talking about, but you don't get to anymore. Now, what do you do? What exactly makes you the expert in this field? And I know you're not like a true like professional expert, made a career out of it yet, but you've done a lot of studying in it. What have you studied?
So the thing that you'll find a lot of people who study like sexual psychology, and you'll read academic stuff and look at theory. And I'm obviously just a graduate student, so my knowledge in the sort of academic realm is limited. But I bring to the table a lot of my undergraduate experience spending time within communities of people who are from sexual minorities, like getting to know members of kink communities and getting to know individuals who identify with varying genders, who have different sexual expressions, and going to different shops and locations. And so I have this sort of the more personalized experience about what sex means to people rather than just what they're doing. And I think that that's where at least my passion comes for it. And that's what I think I bring to the psychological side of it.
Well, and that's good. That's important. Like you said, what they're doing is what people talk about. They talk about the act as much when you bring up sex. That's sometimes why people think it's taboo. It's the act involved. But there's so much more behind it that people don't pay attention to. And that's some of the things we want to open up. Speaking of opening people up here, we're going to bring in our next panelist. We've got our beautiful, lovely couple here, Ashley and Lewis. And I said opened up because, Ashley, you were nice enough to open Lewis up to this whole idea. How you guys doing tonight?
Not bad.
We're doing pretty good, pretty excited to learn more about each other tonight.
Yes, that's why we got couples on here too. Before we do that, I'm going to bring Bill in. I'm going to break Bill's heart right now. You have no idea how much, because Bill said he's here. You can start. What did I miss? Where is Linny? Sadly, Bill, Linny can't be here. She has no internet, and she was not able to be here tonight. We lost her, and we lost Nikki, so I apologize for that. But that's okay, because if you need, I'll put on my longer blonde wig. I'll put on a nice slinky dress. I'll fill the part for you. I've got you covered. So anyway, Ashley and Lewis, do you feel there is a lot of stuff to discuss in your relationship regarding sex? Do you think you know a lot about each other?
I would say so. I know we don't know everything, but
Nobody does.
We've been pretty open about past, and we're pretty open with each other and what we like, what we don't like, who we don't like. So
hopefully each other is one of those.
Most days.
Well, we're gonna definitely open up some of those doors, and we'll talk to you more about it in a minute. Let's bring our next couple in. Please welcome back one of our wonderful panelists, as well as her boyfriend, Karen and Jeremy. How you doing?
Hey guys,
Hello.
How's it going?
There are stoner panelists right now, as you can tell.
Yeah.
You get them on
We're
screen
the
like,
minority in
geez, we're here. You're not the minority, believe it or not. You are not the minority in that.
Okay.
So how you two doing this evening?
Fantastic.
Not too bad.
Thanks for asking.
Oh, that's it, just fantastic.
Well, I'm excited to know more. I have a special perspective on sex, so I'm glad to offer it. I'm actually a handicapped individual, so you wouldn't think of me as sexual, but that's quite the opposite.
What, handicapped people you don't think of as sexual?
Yeah, it's kind of like a stigma in the handicapped community. And
Is
so,
it really? Now, Bill, I'm sorry, Jeremy, I'm sorry, Bill's on the brain right now. How do you think of that? What do you feel about that, Jeremy?
How do I feel about
Karen saying that, handicap is looked down differently in the community?
I didn't say down. I just said different.
Look down differently,
I don't know.
whatever.
I
Don't
can
correct me,
understand
I'll
for
take
some
you right
people-
off.
For me, it's like no. It's not an issue. I guess for some people, that's something that they actively seek out. Karen says that there are people like that. She would know. I
There are
guess.
definitely people with fetishes for literally everything out
Oh yes.
there.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
So, does that make any difference in your sex lives? Either do you find it easier, harder, as far as for you, Karen, or Jeremy, in that situation? Personally,
It makes certain positions more accessible.
so and I know they can't tell. To explain, people on the panel know not everybody here knows your handicap is, of course,
Yeah, I'm an amputee.
amputee.
I'm
so you
missing
don't-
my right leg.
So so that is accessible. You can just kind of lift one leg and slide right in.
Okay, let's not imagine the dynamics, okay?
Okay, I'm just saying there are possibilities to work with on there.
May I
That's
ask you a question about that?
Yeah, absolutely.
by all means.
Yeah, Karen. So I read a book once looking at how the amputee community has a sort of devoted fetishist kind of
Yeah,
following.
they're
called
actually referred
devotees.
to as devotees.
Exactly. Yeah, and I was curious just for you in exploring your own being, how encountering those individuals or how that all kind of plays into your experience, because I'm sure it's a very unique but unfortunate kind of thing at times.
It is an extremely unique kind of a thing because there are different types. Some basically worship the fact that I don't have a leg. That's a little creepy. It's quite frankly creepy. And then I've had gentlemen offer me whole lives. I'll put your son through college and you can have an art studio in the barn as long as I can fuck you with your prosthetic on.
Ah,
Wow.
Yeah.
You can tell me about that.
So-
I don't like the
So you've
prosthetic.
encountered a lot of it.
Yeah, I have. It's definitely, to me, it creeps me out. What I prefer is somebody who's kind of sweet, all right, you're handicapped. Okay, let's do it anyway. Doesn't
Right.
matter to them either
And
way.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of.
That's kind of what I prefer, rather than somebody who's creepily devoted to my stuff.
Is that how it worked with Jeremy there?
Yeah.
I would think so. Yeah, I would say so. I would
Yeah,
agree.
he was like, "Hey, it's okay. Let's try it anyway. See what you can do."
You don't want to say no anyway. Even if it was
Most men
true, you
don't want to.
say no.
I actually, I've actually. Okay, yes, it took me a little while to work up the courage, but once I got over my own courage, it's really not that hard, even as a handicapped individual, to get laid, because men are thirsty.
That
I
is
was gonna
true.
say,
We are
you-
pigs. I'll agree with that. Okay, so
Would you?
going on.
Would you? Oh yeah, you can keep going, Keith.
No, go ahead, Dominic.
I was gonna just ask too, if you were ever concerned if you were with someone, if they were like with you for the reason that you were an amputee, or if it was for you, if that kind of came up at all.
I don't want anybody to be with me because I'm an amputee. That is
Right.
definitely not my bag. And I kind of filter that out. So I don't even consider it usually.
Yeah.
What if you find out, like, down the road, Jeremy here does have that fetish? I mean, you already like him, and if you found out later on, would that change things for you?
I might be a little creeped out by it. I don't know how. It depends. Let's cross that bridge when it comes to it.
Keep your mouth
Well,
shut,
thank you.
Jeremy.
It's a fetish, yeah.
All right, so
It's
all right,
not a fetish.
Ashley and Lewis, how do you think? I'm going to ask you. You're a younger couple on here, and I'm definitely curious. How do you think that sex has related to dating lately? Do you think it's become like a prerequisite to it? Do you think that it's required now? And do you think that's a good idea?
Oh God, I'm just trying to think like the last time.
Well, I mean, you can talk about your current situation too if you want. Like when you met, was you don't have to say if you did or not, but was it common to have sex and decide if you're going to date from there? Actually, I'm going to turn to Ashley for this question more or less, because a lot of times they say that women know right away if they're going to sleep you within the first 5-10 seconds, whatever it happens to be, depending on who you're talking to. Is that true?
Sometimes, and it depends on how much you have to drink that night.
Very, very good point.
That is a good
Sometimes
point
it's
too.
less than 5 seconds.
So I think if you're drunk and you want to fuck him, you probably want to fuck him when you're sober too, just because it lowers your inhibitions. So you probably do, just are more apt to talk about it when you're drunk.
I working in a bar, I have to strongly disagree with that situation because I have been drunk and I have wanted to fuck them when I was drunk, and I woke up in the morning and wanted to kill myself for what I just did. All right. So I'm going to Bill. You're being awfully quiet. I'm so sorry, Bill. Bill's crying right now.
Broke his
He
heart,
hasn't-
exactly.
I know. I broke his heart too early. In there. Do you think that puts us at a disadvantage at all, the men on the panel? I know we've got more men than women. That unfortunately was not planned. So, Dominic, do you think that puts men at a disadvantage? People say
In what
we're
regard?
the predators. Well, people say we're the predators. People say we look and we're going to prey on the women. But it's hard to do that when the women admit we know right away what we're going to do.
I think that we don't give ourselves enough credit for how much of the attraction phase is in the actual dialogue we have with people. And I think that, like, men, there's a pressure to go and be the predatory, like, well, or not predatory, but like the aggressive one.
No, you're
Oh,
fine. That's me. You're
Oh,
good.
okay. Yeah, so there's good. I was like, oh crap. But no, where there's this pressure to sort of be the aggressor, be the forward one, which is kind of obviously there's a lot of there's unfortunate sort of biases with masculinity and all of that there. And for women, there's a pressure to not. But I also think that we're both kind of at odds. I don't know if it's necessarily worse for men because in each scenario, both persons trying to fill a script, trying to fill a bit of a role, and like even the idea of like sending someone a drink at a bar has a lot of other psychological anxiety, insecurity, like indirectness to it. You offer this person something and you hope for reciprocity. There's all of this weird ritualistic side of the dating that I think that if men and women kind of just were a little more direct with that, neither one would feel like they're at an advantage or disadvantage.
What is the intended, or what comes off as being intended when somebody buys a drink, do you think, for any of the couples on here? Ashley, even Lewis or Jeremy, because women do buy guys drink. It doesn't happen as often, but it does happen. What do you think their intention is, and do you always feel that that intention is the same? So, do you think guys, if they're buying you a drink, they're intending to have sex with you, and in your head, do you automatically assume that?
I would say in my experiences from my bar days, definitely I've had a lot of different conversations with people, and guys have bought me drink, and I'll be
Yes, Bill, trying to fill a hole, not roll.
yeah. But I've had guys buy me drink, and immediately that's my first thought, like, okay, I know what they want. And depending on, I'm a very friendly person. I'm naturally flirty as well. So, I mean, I'll entertain conversation, and if we're talking or whatever, I'll kind of go from there. But there's also the creep vibes that you get from, okay, he's buying me a drink, he's being way too forward, I'm not feeling this, thanks, no thanks, have a good night. Or if right from the get-go, if I'm not comfortable with the situation, I'll be like, sorry, I appreciate it, thank you, but no.
Have you ever just accepted it as being a drink?
I have, yep.
Because I'll be honest, I'm one of the people that will buy you a drink, and I'll buy a drink for a man or a woman, and I have no sex on the brain. I literally do it because, hey, it's something to start a conversation over.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that a lot of times people assume the opposite of that.
Keith, I think
take it the other
we
way.
should probably. Ooh, I was gonna say we should distinguish between like I think buying someone a drink and like sending it to them and that. Kind
No,
of
I'm referring to
traditional
sending it
flirting
to
way.
them. I'm
Okay,
referring-
so
now as a DJ, of course, I'm sending it to tables anyway, so that's a little different perspective. But I also do that regularly when I'm at a bar.
Okay, because I was thinking you can also ask someone if you can buy them a drink.
Oh yeah,
and
if
that
I'm
can
sitting
still
next
be
to somebody
flirty
else
and doing-
at the bar, that's a different story. If I'm like sitting right next to them, hey, yeah, let me buy you a drink, dude. You know,
Right.
that's cool.
I
But,
will use the sent drink as an excuse to start a conversation because that's just a little of who I am. It doesn't
That's what I
matter.
think.
I'll get the vibe. I mean, if they're a creep, I'll be like, thanks for the drink. I'm going to drink it because I'm drunk. So,
Now,
but I'll start the conversation.
I've had a girl actually admit this to me afterwards, that she bought me drinks because she thought that I would be more honest once I had a few more in me, so she could actually find out like what I wanted, what I actually wanted out of life type of thing. And
Oh,
that
my.
is very true.
So she used it as a method to get to know you better, huh?
Yeah.
I do
Plan
that
to see if you
myself,
can handle your liquor. If you can hang.
You know what? It actually worked out pretty good.
Then you just get to buy them more and more. Speaking of, I didn't order this one. Who sent this one to me?
No, actually,
One of you's getting lucky tonight.
In the case of me and Ashley, just talking about how you guys were talking about buying a drink means you want to have sex. First time me and Ashley actually had went out together, it was at the country bar, Coyote Joe's, whatever. We were hanging out all night. I got a little intoxicated, so did she. We went back to her place, and I had no intentions of trying anything. But she, of course, on our way to her place, she was like, "So you know we're not having sex tonight?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
Had that conversation
That's
as
okay.
I'm driving to my house, like,
I
just so
don't
you
care.
know.
But my question is, did you?
No.
Okay, good job. 'Cause- important. Okay, so how many people on the panel used to be sluts when they were younger?
I'm 23, Keith. How young?
I'm younger, like high school. No, I'm younger, like high school and shit is what I'm referring. Like when you were in high school, early
Mine
20s,
started
you
when I
would
was about-
qualify.
Mine started when I was about 18, but that's still
I was
counts.
about 15.
Yeah,
So
high
we
school
were-
me was not talking to girls much, so.
No, really.
Nowadays, so.
I'm going to get back to that in a minute, Dominic, because I'm curious. I want to bring up Bill's his first comment here in the 80s because he was one night stand after another in the 80s, and that was I was a fucking slut, huge time, huge. Karen, I know you were too. Lewis was. So only because he raised his hand, so I got to see that on there. Now,
Okay, so you knew me back in the day.
to anybody now, was anybody the one night stand one or another? Obviously, you're 23, Dominic. Okay, I'm not talking to you because God knows sex starts at 22. On that, but did anybody else become like a one night stand person? You, Karen? How often what was your reason behind that?
In my 20s, I didn't really have a reason. It was just because I was horny and in my 20s. And I was just like, fuck it. I mean, if I can get laid in the truck, go to the bar, drink some more, be all right.
That makes sense. Bill says women would buy him drinks to get him drunk, so he'll either get thrown out of the bar or someone else would take me home. Oh, that's a nice strategy. All right. Anybody paying attention to that? Get him drunk so somebody else has to take him home. That could backfire a little bit because, Bill, you're not the most easy person to control when you're drunk, unless you got Kathy around. Yeah, well, apparently you're not with Kathy either. We talked about that last week. Now, for the people who were sluts, and I'm sorry to put it so, blunt.
Bluntly.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
As you got older, Lewis, how old are you?
I've just turned 30.
Yeah, you just turned 30. I ask sometimes for the panel or for the people watching too. Okay, so understand that. Okay, I know you just turned 30. I missed your party. Sorry.
Okay.
Did it all, being that slutty person and that one night stand person, did it ruin sex in any way for a little bit?
No, to me personally, I don't think it ruined anything for me. Let's be honest, I was at the Kit Kat Club.
Yeah, I know.
And to be completely honest, a lot of my encounters were with older women. So in my
they're
opinion,
so easy.
It helped me. It helped me a lot. It helped me see like the more like obviously they still wanted me in the same way as younger girls would, but just to see the little bit more mature side of them helped me with my experience because I was a late bloomer. I didn't lose my virginity until I was almost 20 years old.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I know.
That's like the worst topic we've had so far. I thought our addiction topic was bad. Damn.
I'm not saying I didn't make up for lost time, but
You did. You raised your hand again, so we know. What is the drive for the older women? I mean, I know the experience there, but they're older women.
I'm in that prime age. I'm 38 years old. My son is out of the nest. He's 21. I had him when I was super young, so I can pretty much do whatever the fuck I want now. And that's pretty much how it is. Our sex drive is higher, and that's all there really is to it, and I'm just going to do what I do.
Do you really think your sex drive's higher now than it was when you were in your teens?
No, honestly, I'm a weird case. I'm not like the typical woman person.
Nobody is. There's just
that.
Okay, people forget that there's not a typical woman, there's a typical definition.
Yeah. So then I've always been a little higher than the typical definition as far as libido and sex drive goes. It really hasn't changed that much.
What do you think, Dominic? What do you think the draw of older women is, either for the woman or for the younger person?
So in every sexual situation, I think that you have to consider it's a power exchange in some way, shape, or form. And whether you're being, very blatantly some power exchange, like some BDSM thing, or it's like an authority figure. I mean, look at anything on Pornhub. You've got police officer, doctor, like teacher, the older person. There's this level of authority. And I think for younger men who are insecure about how well they can perform with someone their own age, or anyone really, someone who's older and more experienced, going into that scenario, you confidently know that you don't have to take the lead. And I think that there's a sort of attraction to that. And they're older. You don't have to worry about them calling you the next day, probably, because you're probably not going to want to get into a relationship with them. It could be any number of kind of things like that.
Yeah, but they might want to get in a relationship with you. That does happen a lot.
They might, but I'm saying that.
Lewis, you're laughing a lot.
Oh yeah, that's where the fantasy clashes with the real thing, and I think that everyone that's where it is. A lot of it exists more in the fantasy realm, and I think there's a lot of guys who are maybe into like older women too, in a sort of fantasy masturbatory sense, who maybe aren't really once they encounter it.
There's that. The thing is, I think for older women, everybody just seems hot. We're going to bring another panelist in 1 second, but first I got to ask, Lewis, you were so trying to control yourself there, and Ashley, you were trying to keep from saying something. What was your thoughts on what he was saying?
No, because there was one woman that would not leave me alone. Like, called me every day. I think she was 40. She was close to 40 at the time. I think I was 23, 24. Uh, she had a son. She had a big house. I forgot where she worked. She had a good job, and she was like, I actually seen her at the bar again later on, and she like totally rejected these older, refined gentlemen and wanted me. I'm like, why?
You're young.
I ain't got shit going on.
What about the midlife
Well, that might
crisis?
be
You
it.
think that has something to do with it? I mean, because they're young.
I was gonna say you could have been her Ferrari.
Yeah.
So I
Well, and also too, if he's young, he's definitely gonna be gung ho about it. Probably, like it's a pretty easy go into.
Hi Brandon.
All right, how you doing? Hi, Brando. How's it going?
I saw the couples. I was like, I need someone else with me.
Hey, before I introduce you, I gotta ask Dominic over here. When we were doing the intro, you pulled out something I want to see again.
Oh yeah, I was just about to. Yeah. I forgot I have this. My friend had to special order it for me from Germany, of all places. But it's my BDSM rubber ducky. Yeah,
Nice. Okay.
That's great.
That's
wonderful.
solid.
Yeah, people
I've
collect rubber
unofficially-
duckies, man.
yeah. The unofficial name is quack whore, but yeah, she'll be here.
I guess.
I'll just leave her over here.
Of course, it came from Germany. I love it.
I guess
All right.
my little corgi's got quite the asshole. So if that's what.
There.
It's not the same. I have a feeling the quack whore is going to blow that shit out.
Oh, yeah.
How you doing tonight, Brandon?
Oh, not bad. Just got back from Rockford, Michigan. So that was a drive.
Nice. That is quite a drive. So I see you're here on the show. So what's your opinion on sex? I'm just going to throw that out there just like that. Talk to me.
Just like that.
Big fan. I enjoy.
Big fan. Watch it every night. It's good. Yeah.
Big proponent. Yeah, I'm a viewer. I'm a participator. I like the arts. Like all the positions. Not so sure about 69 because sometimes it's dangerous.
That's why you
How's
shower
it
first.
dangerous?
Oh no, the
It can be
smothering.
dangerous.
If you don't have if you have like weak arms or weak knees and you're on top, someone's getting hurt.
That's on
Imagine
you,
me on
not
top
them.
of the 69 is dangerous.
All of a sudden, just,
Hey, don't bite off more than you can chew, man.
exactly. You gotta do your Kegels and do your squats.
Bill says he got a rep right outside of high school. Bill's our only panelist or chatter right now, which is cool because we like Bill. He said sex was great, but women didn't want a relationship with me. Anybody else experience anything like that?
That's always the opposite.
Especially the sluts out here, because sometimes I wonder, just like with me, are you a slut because you really just enjoy sex, or because relationships aren't coming to you, so you're just going to have sex with whatever you can, especially in your teens, in high school.
I think I had a little bit of a reputation at one point.
But you didn't have any; you just had a reputation. So go along with that, yeah.
That I did. I didn't even really care about it as much. I was out there looking for a relationship, but I ended up just getting sex.
Yeah.
But I thought you didn't lose your
I know,
virginity until
terrible.
you were 20, right? Was that you?
Yeah.
We're talking about in high school.
Oh, you're talking about high school. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But no, that's good. You can go with yours too. I was just curious. Okay, so that was your relationship on there. You couldn't get one, so you went with sex.
I like how Keith's like, why weren't you banging in school?
I'm like, this is tragic to me. Like, I did some of my best work in school, okay? Or during the years I went to school. I should say, not necessarily in school.
You get your prime.
A little bit in school.
Back
Like
in
I
the
said, I
lunchroom
was a-
cafeteria.
Like I said, I was a slut in my 20s, but in my high school years, I was the fat girl. So nobody wanted to fuck the fat girl.
You had a kid at
So-
15.
Well,
That didn't
Joe was
happen
older than
because
me.
you were celibate.
He was like 5 years older than me.
That's bad.
So
That's okay then. Okay. Now, why did you turn? That's a serious one. If you don't mind talking about it, I want to. Why, if he was 5 years older than you, why did you end up having sex with him?
I don't know. I've always had a thing for older dudes, like from the time I was very, very young. I've been dating 40-year-old guys since I was 19.
They're so
What's going
much
to happen
less
when you're
stupid.
50?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. He's
What about
46.
Dominic? I want your opinion on that. Do you think, because what struck me with what Karen said was she started the conversation with, I was the fat girl, nobody wanted me. I got a guy who was 5 years older than me. That's why I had sex with him. What is your response to that?
I mean, my response is that there are a lot of, just from my experience, having come out of high school and undergrad fairly recently in my life and just studying sex, there's a lot of men in their 20s, especially, who do look out for women below and around the age of 18. And a lot of the times, those men are doing it because it's when I was 15 or 16, I didn't have a really a good understanding of myself, my sexual psyche, my being, and a lot of those instances can be with the manipulative circumstance, and that's not every one of them, but I think it's the reason there's the age of consent is just sort of for time to develop and think and consider those things, because it's easy to manipulate when someone knows more and can speak a more different sexual language than the other, potentially.
I gotcha. We got two things here. Well, first, before I get to Jan, Angela says, "Hey guys, hi,
Hi,
Angela.
Angela.
Nice to see you on here.
Happy Sex Day.
Happy Sex Day." Jan says medical illness has put a stop to her and her husband having sex. She had mentioned that on the webpage when we
She
originally
brings it
posted
up almost
the show.
all the time for some reason.
Yeah, she said, "Well, because she's horny and has nobody right now, and she's not going to go to somebody else."
Yeah, get you a dragon.
So how does one get through that is my question, because we're going to jump from teenagers to your older years now. Nobody here can really express their older years. Maybe we can hit the 40s at best. And 30s is close, because 30s is when the decline really starts for a lot of people. Where you become less of a slut, where you actually try to pull things, you try to get families. Why do you think families start around their late 20s, early 30s? Because people finally want to settle down. Now, if suddenly you couldn't have sex anymore, because of the person you were with, try to imagine it. How would you get through that situation?
Toys.
Is that what'd you say?
Masturbation.
Toys. You
Toys.
said
Yeah.
toys?
Yeah, dude, no, masturbation
Right,
for
right.
sure. For
So,
us.
so if for whatever reason I couldn't perform all of a sudden, I would buy whatever toy I had to please her.
Keith,
That's fair.
I would have no
are we
problem.
allowing kink in this, or?
Oh yeah, we're gonna cover
Dude, look
more.
at your
Trust
duck.
me. Yeah.
Of course.
No,
you
but I
can.
mean,
Go
like,
ahead.
are we? If
You've
no,
got,
but I'm
you've
saying,
got,
if
yeah,
you-
like Brandon said, you've got a duck with a ball gag.
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
But I mean, are you counting kink separately from like having sex with someone? Like, are you including someone being whipped or spanked in that definition of being able to have sex with them?
That's
It's more
part
about
of
the
sex.
stop, Dominic, I thought.
Right now, this particular topic is just saying that her reason is medical illness. So with the medical illness, where we're talking with Jan,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
she cannot have sex with him anymore, and he's probably not going to be too keen on him coming at her with a cat of nine tails. It's just not going to work.
Right, yeah.
Okay. No,
So-
sorry. I didn't know I hadn't heard the context of the medical thing. I thought you were just posing a hypothetical.
It's like saying-
if
No,
your
because
partner-
we're not that age. But if it happened to somebody like us, and the person you love you're with, is that a reason to leave somebody? And that's a serious question, because a lot of people question it.
Gotcha.
Brings up the kink. He's like, well, if I can't start the car, I can't really drift the corner. So
Well, I mean, there are couples I know though who medically
That's a great
have
idea.
issues with being able to have penetrative sex, who do rope and things as a replacement,
Yeah.
and for intimacy and for the physiological
Still a slut?
sensation of the endorphin rush and all of that. And so
congrats.
I hope I am
there
too, Bill.
are ways to garner the sexual intimacy without the penetrative and physical component of it. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
In that sense, you're absolutely right. But I'm definitely referring to Jan's issue that those are not options either. Basically, sex
Right.
is gone from your life.
Well, that's a good
All
point
right.
to bring up, though, that there are other ways to stimulate, I guess, if that's not
But
working
what if
out.
you can't? Is your relationship, and one of the hard things that happens to people is, especially couples, that get into relationships because of sex, which I think where a problem comes in often, that roles are reversed and you have sex, then date.
Yeah.
Because sex will change, it will dissipate, and when you get married, it's practically going to be non-existent.
Yeah, you gotta
You'll
be
have
attracted
you have a
to
little
their-
while still.
You gotta be attracted to that big sexy brain of theirs and their personality before you jump in
Big
on
sexy
all
brain.
that. Yeah.
Jan's response says he has diabetes, so long as it killed the blood flow, he doesn't even have the thoughts, and that's more what I am referring to in that situation. Now, what advice could you give Jan? Because that's what we try to do on the show. We've got a bunch of new panelists tonight, so I'm sorry to throw some of this on you. You might not have been expecting to talk about it, but that is what we're trying to do.
Welcome to the hot seat.
Yeah, pretty much. So if Jan has that situation and she can no longer do that, First, I'm going to ask Jan. We'll get back to it in a minute, so you think about your answer. But Jan, does this put any kind of stress on your relationship? Is my question to you, Jan. And is it anything that I don't know how to put it, because obviously you don't want things to end or anything like that. But what kind of stress does it put on the relationship? So we're going to get over to Angela's comment right now. Angela says, sex to me is more of an emotional connection. So if my partner couldn't perform, I would be okay with it. And that's a good point to add to it, that you'd be okay because it's the emotional connection. Now, I do have a problem with that because, as everybody knows, I'm what people call pansexual, but I hate the label terms because I just am who I am. So I don't like the label terms on that. And for me, sex has to have an emotional connection related to it. Now, I don't find pretty much men or women attractive in general. But when I'm emotionally connected, that's when I want to be with them. That's when I see myself doing something. And then I actually do find them attractive. And I do want to pleasure them one way or another. So my thing with Angela here is if her partner couldn't perform, she says she would be okay with it. I would not, because now I want to please you. And I want to be happy. So bravo for you for being able to do that. Now, what if you couldn't have sex personally?
I didn't get to meet the people on the panel, so if you could throw your what was your name, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me
Lewis.
throw those up for you. I'm sorry, you weren't here earlier.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just like Lewis
There you go.
Lewis had mentioned, like, if I couldn't perform, I would still do what I want to please her. And selfishly, it's also because I would be doing the same, because selfishly, that's kind of my favorite part, is you guys enjoying it. So that's kind of what I'm attracted to. So I feel like even if I couldn't perform, I would find another way. Everyone's going to be different in each situation, though.
So,
Okay.
Keith, to add on to that, may I?
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of and I've read the work of a very famous sex therapist who looks at long-term couples where their sex drives alter or fluctuate and things like this happen. And her description for sex tends to be, it's a place that you go rather than an act that you do. And in that way, she meets a lot of couples who face a large realm of different obstacles, whether they're physiological, medical, mental, anything. And what it really tends to come down to is talking over the finer details. What does sex mean for you guys? Does it have to mean touching? Does it have to mean this? Does it have to mean that? And I think you can at least find a way to reach some level of intimate bonding that is comparable if you both truly want to find it. And if you can't, then it should come after a lot of trying.
Understandable. Angela says if she couldn't, she would understand if he wanted something more, if he wanted to do something else, but would hope that wasn't the case. And that's the best you can do sometimes, because I do believe in any relationship I'm in, any couple I'm with, that I want to take care of you, I want to please you, but if I can't give you what you want, I would rather you go somewhere that you can get that. And I think that's important. Jan says she still wants, but she also says she takes care of herself. Because she understands. And I think I know what you mean by that, obviously. So, who here masturbates? Who here lies about it? Nobody. Okay, everybody.
Nobody lies about it.
My corgi just raised his hand. That was ridiculous.
But going back, we're going to go back to masturbation in a minute. Jan says he literally has no interest, and he's told me it just isn't there. And that's one of the hardest things, I think, to deal with right there. Sheena, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Sex Day.
Can I offer a book recommendation to that viewer?
To Jan?
Yeah, or
Yeah,
to whoever,
absolutely.
with the having knowledge. Yeah, Mating in Captivity is a book by Esther Perel, who's that therapist I spoke about, and her specialty is often trying to create and derive passion and erotic energy where there may be none. And so reading her work and her words might be something useful, at least for your own reflection, if not for your conversations.
Yeah, that's a good one. Check that out. What was that book again?
Mating in Captivity by Esther Perel.
I'm sure you guys already mentioned it, but communication is a giant part of it that I think too many couples look over. If you start having issues, you gotta talk about it. You gotta bring it up. Have everything out there so that the other person isn't thinking, is it me, or like, why are you like this? Like, how are you feeling? Is it something I'm doing wrong? you got to be able to communicate.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Oh my god.
Sheena and Jay are jackrabbits. I don't know how old they are, but Sheena says in response, "Damn, Mom." There ain't nothing like doing a sex show with your mom on there.
I know, right?
You are not allowed to stay over anymore.
Jan reminds me of my mom. She'd be the same way if she knew how to use a computer.
Usually Brandon's mom would be on here. I guess he didn't tell her about this one.
Yeah, no, she'd be on here being like, I really thought that he liked boys, but I guess not.
So let's get back to masturbation here. That's right. We're going to talk about everything we can.
Because if you want something done, you gotta do it
do
done
it
right. You
yourself.
gotta do it yourself.
I agree. I have had far better sex with this hand, or actually better with this hand. But
Yeah, I do like lefty. I'm already.
yeah, Lefty's nice. I mean, Lefty is really nice.
It's
a
almost
change.
like because Lefty learns how to do it himself, so it's like a new.
But it's weird
with
with
my left
Lefty
hand, too.
sometimes because you realize how much strength you built in your right arm every once in a while when you switch over to the left one. You're like, damn, this arm's getting tired. You know?
Yeah, I know your lefty's got that.
Like, this
you-
arm would
but
go
that-
all night.
But I'm sure
See, I
you use
always-
that arm so little otherwise. It's like you get there and muscle memory just knows what to do.
Yeah.
It's the
It
master-
starts to cramp up. You're like, no, just a little more, just a little more.
See, Lefty can get you almost there, but he's kind of bad at the completion. So righty jumps in to finish the show.
She became lethal when she got a hold of a laptop, tablet, and smartphone. Yeah, your mom's definitely. Yeah, your secrets are not going to be secrets anymore. I do have a friend, an old school mate I talk to on chat, and we talk. Just talk, or more, because there's
Just
a little
talk, question mark?
and-
Little chatter and splatter, a little.
Ugh.
Sorry,
Oh my god.
I was on the road.
The
I'm
chatter
sorry.
and splatter just got my kids stop laughing at it.
Splatter and splatter. All right. So the sin, the reason we were going into the masturbation was to go actually further onto that as far as sin factor. Everybody on this panel does it, and anybody that didn't raise their hand, no matter who you are, if we had 100 other people on this panel, would be a fucking liar. If everybody does it, everybody knows about it, why is the sin factor so great? Why do people choose not to talk about it or say things? Because for a lot of people, it's shameful. Believe it or not, people still are ashamed. And any one of us walks in the room, any one of us masturbating, we're going to jump back like, oh my God, and hide it really quick and shit, regardless of the fact that we know it's okay. Where do you think that sin factor comes from?
Growing
The
up.
Bible.
Oh, she licking like a lollipop. All right, Jan.
I
All
think it
right.
comes from growing up. Just
I
having-
don't know
just
why,
having to
but
do it in the privacy.
What?
Mom lies. All right, okay, we're going to keep that sin factor in mind. We're going to get back to that in a minute. Bill has a question for the people on the panel with the different ages on the panel. How many different people have they had sex with in their lives?
What are we
All right.
defining as that?
Are we doing
What's the,
I
what's
don't
the
like this
definition?
You gotta put a number on it?
I know mine, because I wasn't really one of those slutty people. Sex didn't come to me that easily. I probably
You're
would
not.
have been, but I was kind of a weird guy. And I know my number. So,
I know mine
Okay, what's
too.
your number? We'll
If
start
you
with you,
throw it,
Jeremy.
I'll throw mine.
me?
I don't know. I don't know if we want to go there.
I'll go there.
Hold on. Before you
I
do,
have no
Jeremy, what's your
inhibitions.
number?
I'm 47 years old and I've had sex with 22 women.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
She's number 22, in case you didn't figure it out.
I thought she was 21.
No.
I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's good then.
I
That's
don't
good
want to
then.
say my number anymore.
What's your number, Brandon?
I will not say my number, but I will say that more people have been on the moon than on my penis. So
All right. All right.
12, I believe.
oh, I wish. I fucking wish.
Nerd.
That's
me.
more.
more
Who
people
else
have been
has
on
their
Mars.
number? Or a rough guesstimate, because I don't have an exact number. I never
Well,
have mine.
Keith, what are we? It's hard for me to calculate my number here with my past research. What are we defining as like sex? Like fully penetrative? That's your
Did you
tally number?
ejaculate? Did you ejaculate
If
with
that's
somebody
the-
else there?
Oh,
If that's
interesting.
the criteria, then oh man, that's a narrow criteria. I would say probably somewhere in the whatever realm Brandon's looking at. Like yeah,
4?
Yeah.
If we're I mean that's with that.
That's fair. That's
with
fair.
the narrow, Yeah,
To
but
be
with that
fair-
criteria, it's hard to factor in with the other like.
All right,
if I
Lewis,
tie someone
Lewis.
up, like what does that
Come on,
mean?
Lewis.
To be fair, I made sure that my
Bill
floor,
wants to know.
like if you,
Bill
for
wants to
me,
know?
Oh,
it
wait,
was
wait.
like
Before.
if you could.
Yes, Brandon.
If you could only like drive a certain amount of cars, and I knew I could only drive 4 cars, I made sure all of them were a Porsche, Ferrari, so they were great. They were a great time. There wasn't many. I couldn't afford. Right? Yeah, exactly.
So you like to just test drive the nice vehicles?
Yeah, they don't let you test drive with my credit, if you know what I mean.
All right, Lewis. What's the number?
All right, do I have to? Because I don't know if I want to go there. That's something that I
You don't have to. You don't have to.
That's probably one of the only things that I have not talked to about her. Because that's something I didn't really care about.
But she was excited to find out things.
Now, are you? Do you like?
I don't care.
There's no going back.
It's so funny because now everyone watching is watching her and not Lewis.
Just watching her and not Lewis.
All right, Keith, question. How many viewers are watching right now?
I don't know the exact
7.
number.
Oh, okay.
That's actually off. That's the only number that are watching that have engaged the video. They could be watching but not engaging, like chat or anything. They don't show up.
No, I was just curious. All right, let me think for 2 seconds here, okay?
All right. So let's hit the women on the panel then. How about we make Ashley go first?
Go ahead, women.
Bill wants to know the numbers. You don't have to if you don't want to.
You said Ashley.
Wait,
Go
how are
first
you-
or me?
Go ahead.
Ashley.
Go ahead.
How are you
I gotta
defining it
think
for the
real
women?
quick.
Same thing.
Release the Karen.
If they
Release
ejaculate,
the Karen. I have probably had sex with probably close to 150 people.
It's a lot of cars.
Yeah, it is. I've test drove a lot of cars. Before I met my husband, I was quite the slut because it was my very early 20s, just started going to the bar. And after my ex-husband, there was quite a period there.
So how many would you say were like Porsches and how many were like Dodge Neons?
I don't know, 15 at the most were like of a luxury brand, and then the rest were like Pintos.
All right. Now, Ashley, Lewis, are you ready?
I want to say not exact.
Exact doesn't matter. Just rough estimates. He's curious by the age groups, really.
Probably around like 17.
That's not bad. Lewis, do we need a
That's around
calculator?
average.
No, we don't need a calculator. It's going to be rough, but probably high 30s, low 40s.
Well, that's not really that
No,
bad.
that's not bad.
Thinking.
No, yeah, that's not bad at all.
Dude, Lewis felt
Alright.
so good, when
Good.
Karen led with 150. He's like, thank fucking God.
I will stay out of that, and Karen knows why.
I was gonna say, I am not the highest number on this panel.
You are
It's
not.
like, I drove a train, I drove a rocket ship.
Over 870. That is not a lie. That's when I stopped counting. It was over 500 when I was 25 years old.
Yeah.
I was not kidding that I was a slut. Like, Karen knows for a fact, Karen and I, we grew up together, that literally people would line up outside my window
Yeah, like one after the other. Like
to
they
take
would
their
be.
turn.
He wouldn't be done with the other one, and the other one was knocking on the window.
That's incredible.
I have more experience than sex. By the time I hit 30, I was over 870. But honestly, from the 30 to 40, it's increased by only maybe double digits, if that. I can't really count.
We're all talking about test driving cars. This motherfucker opened a dealership.
All right, now we're going to
I'm
get through
pretty
some
sure
of the other
that's
stuff
running a
that
brothel.
popped up in the chat. First of all, Jan says 5. Jan is on 5. Sheena is 10. Well, first she's 10, I think. Wait, 10 or 15. We using the rule of 3 there? Curious on that. Angela's around 25. These aren't bad numbers. You know what? Actually, I never thought that I was that big of a slut until right now.
Until right now.
Yeah.
Who's gonna hit you with like 871, Bob?
Test drives a must. Angela says she's 42 years old. Bill says being 57. Oh, look at that. Bill's beating me. Being 57, grew up in the
Good
80s,
job.
a different time frame. I have had sex with over 1,000 women. Oh, just women? That changes my number.
No stick shifts?
Over 225 in 1984 alone. Okay, that was a good year. was a really good
I
year.
dated 30 girls at a time on a bet. Oh my god.
Wow. A Trojan must have bought stock in you.
1984.
All right, nice job.
Big Brother was watching too.
Sheena had a slut period, she said, too, and that was after she separated her ex-husband. One thing that often leads to people going through that slut period or that very promiscuous period is separation. It's rebound after rebound. If you knew me, it's not hard to believe. Why? Because I'm fat? Is that it? It's a fat thing? You don't think fat people have sex? We have sex because it's too much work to get off the hill. All right.
See, you have you have one birthday at Kit Kat, and you're like, I need more of this.
Exactly.
Honestly, though, that shit, when I asked the question earlier, that shit has ruined sex for me in a lot of ways. That's why the whole reason I did that was I never cared. There was not an actual attraction inside my body when I did it. To me, it was an act. They wanted it. Cool. Jan was raising 3 kids, 2 different guys before my marriage. And now, and Sheena also says men and women will change my number. Yeah, we won't go into those numbers, but I hear you loud and clear.
That's why I said people.
Going back to the sin factor, going back to the original sin factor, Jan says that she was shameful of his body because of incest growing up, which we had talked about on one of our previous shows. So we're going to actually delve back into that to a point, to the incest, or people who had sex at a really young age. I know we touched on this heavily on our sexual abuse show, but for this show, hasn't had a lot of impact for anybody. Do you think it has a lot of impact when you lose your virginity too young, regardless of who to, regardless of incest or anything like that, when you're too young to understand what's going on? Like, I was 8 years old when I had sex for the first time. At 8 years old, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Maybe it had something to do with the fact that I don't care in the future. I don't know. But do you think that has a big impact on people?
Keith,
I mean, for me,
if you, Brandon, you go ahead.
oh no, I was just saying, like, Keith knows my story. It wasn't quite, fully sex, but I think that there might have been some residual. That the reason I might be a little particular on what car I drive might have been some of that trauma of an early, stuff happening. So.
Yeah, there's also some research to show some people who, like, where it happens at a younger age, tends to be this idea that, like, kids especially, like, they get more traumatized or, like, it's more effective. And there is some research to show that young kids, because they're so resilient and they have more brain development left and everything, are able to recover in unique ways from it compared to people who are victimized a bit later in life. And it's I imagine every circumstance is different, but it's at least reassuring in that way.
In your opinion, do you think that's why I'm a slut?
Well, it's weird because if we both had,
I mean you tell me why you're a slut.
An honest opinion, do you think that would have had impact on it?
I mean, definitely
It could have an
impact, but who's to say what?
well, it's
I
kind of
think it may
interesting.
have had an impact of the way that you think about sex.
That's possible. I would agree with that, actually. I won't even say possible. I'll totally agree with that one.
It's interesting that me and Keith had kind of similar situations and went very opposite spectrums on it.
Yeah, because that's exactly what happened. And that's why I was asking our versed person on the panel about it. I was just curious.
I'd be more interested. I'd be more interested in how it would affect someone's relationships going forward than just their sexuality, because I think we forget that our sexuality is a part of our vulnerability and how we express ourselves in a unique way. And, that being in a relationship is necessarily being vulnerable and doing all that, whether it's physical or not. And so I'd be more curious to see how you perceive sex, how you perceive intimacy, as opposed to what actual act, whether it's 1,000 people or one person,
Dude, this guy's smart. Where'd you get him, Keith?
He found me at the bar.
I don't want to really
Hell yeah.
explain like some of the situations of how I meet people, especially with this kind of knowledge. Angela lost her virginity to a man that was 23. It's her first love. Actually broke up, went on a rampage. She was 17 at the time. The first love is the hardest. It really is. I don't remember mine. Actually, I remember mine like elementary school, but I don't really remember my first love otherwise. Probably Hope. What's her name on there? Who remembers their first love?
I do.
I do. Yeah.
So, hardest breakup you had, do you think? Because
Easiest.
it's where you learn.
Mine wasn't Okay. I was in love with my best friend at the time. And he had moved away. And he actually had come back to visit, and that's when we had sex and found out that we cared about each other. But then he was in South Carolina and it didn't matter anymore.
That is hard.
So
For Angela, she said it was absolutely the hardest that she had on there. How do you get over it?
It sets you up for your future relationships in that way. I've often heard how you are loved dictates how you love going forward. And in that first experience, stepping out into that vulnerability, I'd be scared for someone if it didn't impact them a lot going forward.
Well, interesting enough, the first girl I was with, I don't know how much it was love versus just we were both kind of learning how to do anything. And then once that kind of teaches you, okay, this is kind of where I'm at with sexuality. And then the next person was actually love. And then that taught you beyond just sex, what about me did I not like that I did in that relationship? What did I, like that I did in that relationship moving forward with that knowledge?
Yeah.
The love. Yeah, the first love doesn't always mean sex for sure. That doesn't have to be included on that. How does everybody, before I bring that up, how does everybody feel about their body? Who is a sexy motherfucker? So, Dominic, you're a sexy motherfucker?
Yeah,
right,
it took me. It's
asshole.
funny. If you asked high school Dom, he would have said he was a fucking dweeb, and he still is. He's a sexy dweeb.
Yeah, I'm the most attractive guy at Auschwitz.
Brandon is quite an attractive guy. That was pretty harsh. Ashley's quite an attractive girl. Lewis, you're an attractive guy. Jeremy, you're Jeremy. No, Jeremy, you're a good-looking guy too. I have to pick on somebody. I did. Jeremy's a good-looking guy too, Karen. But none of you raised your hands. Why?
I have a self-conscious issue.
I think everyone does. Everyone's insecure about their own selves. Everyone knows the good things and the bad things, but especially when you get around other people, it's I'm okay with myself. I don't think I'm all that. He does, but
You know what? So the only reason that I might be cocky sometimes is because of how often that we tell each other that you're sexy and you're hot and you're the cutest and this and that. We boast each other so much. We hype each other up.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about it, though, because we hype each other up so much.
So let me ask you guys then. So how is it? Let me put this right. It seems to be difficult early on if one of you is really self-conscious, and no matter how much the other person tries to build them up and tell them how hot they are, and you're obviously you really do have attraction to them, and when you tell them that, they kind of go no, you're just saying that. How do you get?
They don't believe it.
Yeah.
I was that person for a while. Not
back to that minute, Gabe.
But in my past, because I was quite the heavy set person. In my early, I have
no idea what you mean.
I was 250 pounds in my early 20s. And no matter what anybody said, I wouldn't believe them if they said that I looked good or I was hot. And I remember the first time somebody said that I was sexy and hot, and I'm like, I literally looked behind me. Behind me.
You talking to somebody else? What?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to get over.
I find it weird because I find the two people. Well, Dominic, he's the cocky one because Dominic, he looks the part. He's a very good-looking guy. He's I know it. That's fine. But I'm over here, and I think I'm fucking gorgeous. I don't care what any of you motherfuckers say. I think I'm fucking gorgeous. But the question, I don't understand how people can have such low self-esteem of themselves, especially when if I can do it looking like me, I don't understand how people that look like you cannot. While you think about that answer, while you think about it, I got to get some of these comments that are scrolling off the screen. Right. So you can think about that for a second. I got to go back up here. The reason I had asked about that, Janet said, I don't want my body to be seen. I recently stood up naked in front of my husband, joking around, but she had to cover her own eyes, so she did not see him looking at her. And that's what brought that up. So think about that question as well. And which her daughter finds interesting because she gets a laugh out of flashing. She remembers her first love and the heartache related to it. Bill says he used to meet up twice a year with a contortionist from the Royal Hannaford Circus. She wasn't my favorite toy in the box, but who doesn't love slinkies? I fucking love you, Bill. I fucking love you, Bill. I fucking love you, Bill. Bill, your life still amazes me every single time. Angela says, I think that's probably why she started just having so much sex. He hurt him so much, she didn't want to get close to anyone again. Looking back, because of previous shows we had, Angela, and what I did go through, I do believe a lot of my life had to do with that. And I hate to say it because I always just accepted what it was, but I think that had a lot to do with it, what I went through in the past. Totally, we're going to skip that. Gabriel's responding to earlier with the first heartbreaks, the ending of your first breaks the idea of innocence and fairy tales that you grew up and believed as a child. Then you adjust and find moments of it mixed in with what you really want in a relationship. And that's what I meant when we first brought that up, is it's a learning experience. You first, learn that love can change. Love can be somewhere else. And you learn who you are and that you're going to get through some of the hardest things in your life. Sheena doesn't think she's very attractive, but she's engaged to a sexy motherfucker. Now, I know that sexy motherfucker you're talking about, and if you ask him, he's not a sexy motherfucker. He's got the same issue that most people on the panel have. Angela, you've got a ghetto booty and a half. I fucking love your booty.
We love Angela's ghetto booty.
It does. It was great.
Black, Angela.
Angela used to live in
Angela's
Michigan.
booty.
She moved, I think, in North Carolina. Is that where you went? I can't remember. I know you went south somewhere. But I know when you moved in, your ass was still in Michigan, and I was really happy about that. Sheena has confidence and don't see herself as attractive. Now, this is where people get confused with me. Because I think I'm attractive. I do have confidence in myself, 100%. But I do believe that no matter how I feel about myself, that I'm not the world's version of attractive, and that is what hits me hard. We were talking about Angela's ass. I'm assuming. It could be anything right now, actually, that we're talking about.
Yeah.
This is the one show that we're going to have to ask you to be more specific on, Bill.
We all know what it was.
How about this one? I just thought I had to have sex with a guy to please the guy to keep them. Male or female, doesn't matter. Have you ever done
No
that?
problem.
Yes. I'm actually submissive and do it regularly. It's kind of my thing.
To keep him?
Basically, just to be submissive and just be a hole when he needs it.
No,
Would that be where roleplay differs from the real thing?
Say it again?
Pardon?
Would that be where roleplay differs from the actual real feeling?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You're
It's
welcome,
always case
Angela.
with this guy.
Yes, it was North Carolina. Jan feels the same way. And he replied to you. Nice. All right, and Bill, finally, younger guys look at me like you don't have a chance, but when I show up with a woman the next night, they ask how. I says the way I carry myself and nicknames over the years. That is something else that resonates with me and always resonated with my friends. We used to go to the strip clubs in, Canada and stuff. Now, obviously, this is where I learned how attractive I really am. This is why I think I'm fucking beautiful, and I would fuck myself 3 ways from Sunday. I don't care, because I do... moving on to the topic. We would go to the strip clubs, and they would get all insane, and I would be the one taking them home or out. Whether the strippers, the waitresses, the hottest ones, and they would flock to me, and they'd be around me. I didn't throw money around, but they always asked what the secret was. I'm like, I treated them like a human being. I didn't treat them like a stripper. I didn't treat them anything like that. And they always ask, how do you do it? Because the truth is, with a lot of women, and it's with guys too, believe it or not, just not as much because we are pigs. With a lot of women, they just want somebody to see who they are inside, regardless. I've discovered the most attractive people out there think the lowest of themselves, because nobody looks past that. If they want to have sex with you, they want to have sex with the shell, or they don't want to have sex with you because of the shell, and nobody looks inside. And when somebody does that, that's what really drives people in. Sheena, you love that about me. Keith, I love you, Sheena. Thank you so much.
In that regard, Keith, I think it sounds like your perspective on it's kind of coming from a more external thing, where it's like, you can kind of feel sexy and attractive from other people who are around you coming.
Oh, no,
you.
I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, I would do me.
No, of course. And what I'm saying, too, is, though, I think that's a component. And I think there's another component that I like to tell people, and I think it's the reason why people who have maybe more unconventional attraction have more trouble, is that, one of my favorite quotes is, "You are responsible to create the taste for which you are to be enjoyed. If you are unconventionally sexy, which we all are, you know, living that and being confident in that, and you, as you kind of do, live yourself and do your thing and get to know people so friendly, that in and of itself is also you cultivating this like taste, this flavor of like authentic, real people, and that I think is what we find really attractive."
So is it like
That's ultimately where your love comes from. Yeah, Brandon?
the aspect of being real and not bullshitting, and not like the more you bullshit, the more it just boils down with people to attractiveness, because if everything else is a lie, that's all we have to go off of. So if you're confident and real with who you are, that can, you know, be more attractive than the actual shell, like you said.
Yeah, it shows that there's studies that show awkwardness are like a little bit of awkwardness makes you more attractive, as opposed to having no awkwardness or having too much of it. Being able to have those human qualities and acknowledge them is part of it.
Dude, if awkwardness is attractiveness, I'm goddamn Brad Pitt. So
there you go.
Nope, I'm still that guy from Silence of the Lambs going, I'd fuck me so hard. That's still me.
That's Chris Griffin for me, weirdly.
I know, that's what, every time I do that now, it didn't used to happen.
I do.
Everybody's like, it's from Family Guy. I'm like, no,
That's
Not from
Or
Family
Joe Dirt. They
Guy.
say Joe Dirt, too. Because Joe Dirt did it. Gabe says sometimes the DD is the most impressive group, and that definitely wasn't me either, because I was fucking shit-faced most of the time.
Wait, is that double D's or Dungeons and Dragons?
I think he means designated driver.
Yeah, I think he's designated driver.
Referring to how that's who the women are attracted to. Eric says sex. All right, good job,
Eric. So he knows
Eric.
what we're talking about. That's good.
All right. If 5 guys tell me my ass is hot, 1 guy tells me I have a beautiful smile, I'm going to talk to the latter, and that is very true, and that's what they look for. But if nobody tells you had that beautiful smile, which guy are you going to go with? Because you're still going to probably pick one. Sheena says, what I find strange is now with how Jay, her husband's or boyfriend or whatever, sees himself. He has said several times that he'd screw himself 6 ways to Sunday. That's just because he's a freak. And he likes to screw
I was
himself.
going to say.
And he likes things in his butt. And he likes all that crazy stuff, which means let's get to our next part of this, which is fetishes.
Oh, here we go. Dominic in the paint.
Yeah.
Okay, so weirdest things that people have done on here. People don't understand sometimes what sex can include. It's not always the standard actions, as I'm sure Dominic's going to share. Matter of fact, before we talk about a lot, I'm going to give Dominic the reins on this one. Dominic, talk fetish.
Carry away.
Just talk fetish. I mean, I have not, as you said, kind of performed a lot of these, but I've seen and I know of very, very many. I have a distinct memory of seeing somebody get fucked with a jackhammer. There's actually an old training BDSM chat. Yeah, they're fine. There's a dildo attachment on the end, but there's an old But I
had a rubber tip.
But I had the opportunity to tour one of the oldest training chateaus in the country for BDSM. It's in the Berkshires over in Massachusetts. And there they have this device called the Schwanendrayer. Fancy name. And it's a human spit roast where they actually use coals to give you the feeling of your body being burned. So your body goes into shock over it. And they've had like 10 people come. They had a Texan guy go there for a 4th of July personal barbecue with like a gallon of barbecue sauce, like all of that. And that's just one of the things they had available at that chateau.
To be barbecued.
You watch some fucked up shit.
Yeah, the headmistress there tried it herself after enough people came to do it, because she was like, I need to know why some people genuinely want me to do this. And some of them do it very seriously. Some of them had it fun, like the Texan guy. But for all of them, it was very much like a life-changing form of masochism and submission.
It's wild. Damn, you had me at the jackhammer. I thought that was crazy.
Yeah, that's what lost me right away. Now I like to
Can you
think that
imagine,
I'm a
like,
freak,
all right,
but damn.
we're about to get freaky, but I gotta stop at Sunbelt or maybe Caterpillar.
Limit.
Well, actually, with insects, there's a whole thing called crushing, actually, where people get off on crushing small animals and insects.
Oh my.
Jan says, going back a little bit, the guy that she's chatting with, and she keeps putting that in quotes on there because she is married.
Chat and splat.
He's a recovering alcoholic, and it just started out as me and him outside the box support. He fell in love with me, and I do have feelings for him. He is in Michigan as I am here. But Jan, you're married. So is he providing something that you need otherwise? Because we talked earlier about the situation. I'm not saying you'd ever leave him or anything like that. But what makes you reach out for that? What else is lacking? When you, and I don't understand this, so I'm really looking for an answer on it. When you lose that aspect of somebody, how does the feelings change? Because you obviously still love them, but what makes you seek something else when you're still with them? If you can answer that. If you can't, I understand. But if you can, Bill says, weirdest thing lately, a girl wanting to give me a sounding.
Oh God! Oh God!
Oh.
That's no.
And it's not a microphone.
Not
No. Not karaoke related.
not a Capri Sun straw or anything.
Hearing the echo of this show from my mom's room is a little trippy. Oh my God. Like,
thought
you're in the same house?
She just talked about how she can't stay over anymore because what she said.
Dominic, will you take that? Or actually, no, Brandon, I think, is ready too.
Yeah, do it.
All right. There's the pee-pee hole. And
You're off to a great start.
You
Way to go! You can do it.
Try and,
That's the spot.
try and put stuff in there. See how that stuff feels. One time
Okay,
I saw
so it's
someone
like a
try
long
and,
metal rod.
Not always.
They use metal.
but
No, it can be more than metal rod.
But it's used.
saw
It's from,
someone put a-
it's from medicine. Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Well, okay. I saw someone put a bee up there.
That's what
Yeah.
they're talking about, Sheena.
They let bees try and get the honey out of the. I'm a pause for a minute.
Okay, so yeah, basically a sounding is fucking with your pee hole. We're gonna move on from there. I like to believe I'm
If you
very
look real
experimental.
close, it looks like a little vagina. If you
Oh my goodness.
pull it apart.
It looks like it hurts.
Okay, I've done that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. I've done that. It does.
curious. It gets a little wet.
It's actually it's the same material, technically speaking. The tissue in the clit is the same tissue that erections have. It's all just
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
You know,
sometimes
the
you
same
kind of.
material that's like the inside of your mouth, feels the same way as like the inside of a vagina type of thing.
Yeah, the inside of your pee-pee is the same.
I wouldn't say. Sure.
No, it's
Jan
fun.
says
If you get soap in there, it burns like hell. So
First, I'm gonna ask Bill, did you get it? The sounding, and Jan says she's become her husband's caregiver more so than his wife, and that's one thing I think that's pushing her further away from that, which can be a very difficult situation. And that, so you're just really seeking what you once had that you know you're not going to have again, or that is gone from that. So I do understand that. And well, okay, she's got her answer. So much of the same feeling I had after a kidney stone removal. Yes, that's a sounding. Good job.
kind of a reverse sounding, but yeah.
For Bill, when I was younger, going to meet up with a girl at a party after the bar, go there and didn't see her. 30 minutes later, she was found in a bedroom having sex with 2 dogs. Should have read that whole thing first.
I'm gonna need to know.
Down that one.
I'm gonna need to know the breeds.
Are we talking Chihuahuas or Great
Right.
Danes?
All right, so we're talking about kinks.
All right, yes.
So it was a while ago, obviously, and it wasn't me. I actually had somebody. Obviously, you guys know what a cuck is.
Ashley's like,
Yes.
Cuckolding, yeah.
Yeah.
Cock rings.
Cock.
So
Oh,
no, I
cuck,
actually
yes,
had.
cucking.
I've had quite a few people
Cuckage.
come up to me and say, "Hey, I want you to fuck my wife."
Okay.
it's more
And-
popular than you think.
It really
You'd
is.
be
Obviously,
surprised.
I've had quite a few. There was 3 instances where actually I went ahead and I
Did the
fucked their
deed.
wife right in front of them. 2 of them tried to record it.
That's
no.
the line.
But it was weird to me because me personally, I would never, I would never be able to do that at all.
Bill says no to the sounding 57 years old catheter scare.
Uh,
Yeah, because eventually you're going to be forced to do that. Sadly.
I
Sometimes
feel like,
people
I
still.
feel like that would be a tough one, Lewis. I don't know.
Okay, now
It's,
one of the things.
There are biological reasons why men, especially crave it, though. There's studies that show even just watching it or thinking about it raises testosterone, which raises sex drive, which also seeing your wife or partner as an individual who's having sex with somebody else it sort of separates that out from that role too. And you fell in love with them as an individual who was single once. And for some men, the combination of that testosterone surge, the jealousy, aggression, and just all of that is what they're going for.
See, it's
You don't
like
think
when
it's
you
just
watch.
I want to see my wife in a live porno?
No, it's like when you watch Ken Block drive that car so well. You're like, I want to drive a car that well. So you.
All right.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna pose this more towards Dominic here because he has all the answers and all the psychological reasons for everything. You ever fucking have sex for fun?
Yeah. I mean, here's
Do you
my
ever do
my
anything?
philosophy.
Do you? Well, I'm not done. I'm not done. Shut up. I was like, no,
isn't that what
what
it's
I'm
for?
saying, when it comes to fetishes, when it comes to wanting somebody, is there ever a time that you think people want to do this just because they want to do it? There's no deep psychological reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that insofar as at least like people are able to like define the boundaries of any relationship dynamic, whether it's platonic, romantic, sexual, or a mix of any of those, as long as you sort of like have that ability to do that, like all of the kink, all of the sex, all of anything, you can work with it. You can figure out your own kind of expression. So what was the second part of your question again?
I just said, when it comes to like the fetishes and stuff like that, or even with Lewis, do you think maybe a guy just wants to see his wife in a live porno?
Oh yeah. Oh, and
Do
that's
you ever think there's
absolutely-
not anything big or psychologically behind it? And I'm asking because a lot of people who talk, and like I said, we're not a therapist show in any way. We're not a support show. We're just people talking. And the reason I'm asking is most people who are therapists believe there's a psychological reason behind everything.
I
And
see what you
sometimes
mean.
it's just fun.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Well, I
that's
think
what I
that
was curious.
even if there is a reason, I don't think it necessarily really matters. And I think that also obsessing over the reason kind of changes the reason too. Because I think theoretically speaking, there are people who say that everything we do is just mechanisms of electricity in the brain and that we really don't have much of free will at that point. And we start getting into semantics at that. At the very least, I think if your earnest attempt at sex is to get out of it whatever you need from sex, and you are making your intentions clear, and all of that's going on, then yeah, sex can be just for fun, it can be emotionally impactful, and it can be anywhere in between, so long as you establish that boundary.
All right. Jan says sex is not all she's wanting. We're referring to the husband situation right now. It's the emotional, the cuddling, the touching my hand. Try to be romantic with her husband, but he doesn't know how. He even has sex porn movies. He told me there's nothing when he watches them. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry to hear that, Jan. And if anything, even if you wouldn't leave your husband, to have that connection with somebody else, I think at your stage in life with what you're dealing with is very important. So I'm glad you have that. Hang on to that. And, if it just becomes that support friend, it can stay there. But it's really hard when feelings start to develop. I know I've had that with a few people before. Bill says people do things they really don't want just to make their partner happy. We briefly touched on that earlier. So says most of the women that I have fucked in the ass. Okay, ass fucking. I knew that was coming up. All right, so
We made it a
who
long
here
way
has
with
been
that.
fucked in the ass? Dominic's gone.
If you look closely, that little spinning thing is actually the butthole.
That's the butthole. He's actually showing us. This is where it have.
That's where
So
it is.
Showing
who
us.
here has been fucked in the ass or fucked somebody in the ass? And is willing to say that? Okay.
Actually, no.
Let's split this
I'm
up.
back, okay.
Who has? Okay, welcome. By a show of hands, who has been fucked in the ass? Everyone knows I have. I don't have to do that. I get why you're leaving, Dominic. It's making perfect sense. Okay. So we're going to do this again. I want to ask for a reason because this is a very taboo topic. This is something that is people don't want to talk about it, but it's something that a lot of people enjoy. And I'm not talking people in my situation because I am openly what I am. I don't care, so I'm not bringing that. I'm talking about for straight couples or straight people. Now, again, who has been?
Has been.
Just the women. Oh, poor guys.
I know that.
And who has done it?
Not with any actual cocks. I've had things in my ass, and I can attest that that's nice.
Well, that's okay. That's what I'm going through too. I don't
You ever
necessarily
have
mean
one of those? You
by,
ever have one of
like,
those poops
yeah.
that comes out and you're like, not bad.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of the
It's kind
same
of the same
thing.
air bendings, so yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that so bad? For guys, I don't. Now, this is a question I literally have about sex. Women, do you like it?
Depends.
I'm curious about that too.
I did not. The guy I was with, and that's me and Lewis haven't had this talk, and I'm no butt stuff. And
I've had two really, really good experiences where I actually came, like fully came by getting fucked in the ass. But that was 2 times out of the many times that I've tried it.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Yeah, oh yeah, there's a chance. I'm not saying that there's not a chance, but it's seldom for me.
Well, so my experience, I mean, we're going all out in there too. My ex, this was a few years, I mean, we're probably about 5-6 years ago. And it was a horrible, because I did it for him. He wanted to do it. He wanted to try it. And I was just like, fine, whatever. I'll let you try it. And then we ended up doing both. Well, I thought he cleaned off in between, and he didn't. And then I ended up getting an infection.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And that activity, cleanliness, is very important.
Extremely important.
See, I think that, honestly, anal sex is the biggest sexual goof of all time, because guys want to do it to women all the time because it's tight.
I never found that attraction.
I don't. I mean, every guy is different. I understand that.
Yeah.
There are some that just want to fuck a pineapple. So, like, every guy is different.
At least,
but generally, guys want to. But yet, guys are the ones who actually possess the G spot there and actually could enjoy it. So I've always wondered what the attraction was with women who like it, because it's like the biggest sexual goof of all time.
It's like deep down, like, this is kind of what I want.
No, I mean, almost every guy out there, once they experience it, they are like, okay, I like this. You know, it's something they get used to, because there is actually something to be said for it. Even in a straight relationship or having anything in there, there's totally something to be said for it.
As far as the infection, once you go back, you can't go back, if you know what I mean. Like, once you're back you can't return back to...
oh God, Sheena says I gotta watch what I say on this particular one because my mom is here, damn it. Really? Now you're gonna watch what you say.
Say it and cut the internet.
Multiple. Angela, you have done things, I think you're referring to the people that just do things to make their partner happy, which we touched on, and that was one of the things we were talking about there too. Sometimes they do it, but then they like it. I have a friend, we're trying to get his girl to stick his finger in his butt, and he just won't have it. It's a shame. Train, long ago.
Well, that household is getting real good information.
I was now, gonna say
either you liked a rock group or pegging.
In her hair.
Holy shit!
I was gonna say I don't think Sheena has too much of a reason to be shy in front of her mom anymore.
Not at all. Sheena says felt pressure as far as the anal sex goes. Do it the first few times. But when I did it willingly years later, I was curious about having good experience, and it is. I don't understand how women enjoy it, because it is painful, but they don't have the G-spot to make it worthwhile. You know, they don't have a prostate. So I've been questioning that for a long time.
There are still some nerve endings to be felt, though. There's pressure.
Well, explain.
I was going to say there are some nerve endings there, because I have gotten off by it twice, but only twice.
I thought it's just he went so far he hit the front.
It goes kind of...
Yeah.
No, you gotta jerk yourself off from their mouth. That's how it goes. But
That's
but no, I also question too how many straight couples know like to use lubricant properly as well. Because I know in most LGBTQ circles, lube is a conversation that's more readily known. But for anal sex, where it's important, I don't know if all straight couples have that conversation.
No, because usually the guy just like fucking shoves it in. Wrong hole.
Right.
I don't know.
Or he uses like a water-based, like a cheap one.
Sheena says she didn't expect to get off from it when it happened, and she did successfully years later. Might be something about the tightness of the anus, which is very true. I mean, it's just like really tight mouth. He looks just like an ass. All right.
Well, and the clitoris extends deep within, like, more than just the tip, and so any kind of pressure.
No, the clitoris is like, I think it's 4 inches. Is it? It's like 4 inches.
No, it's it has arms. It's there are arms
but it's
that
like
wrap
a
around
4-inch
the
area that you can hit it.
Right, but my point is, without even hitting it, the pressure and movement and everything, and the nerve endings can still generate like pleasure in that area, just because it's internal as well as external.
Dude, your knowledge is making me weirdly attracted to you.
I'm kidnapping him after the show. I'm just telling you. Bill says
I
the
was gonna
prostate
say,
massage.
no after show today.
Bill also has a can of. Oh, there will be. It's just going to be on a totally different channel. Bill keeps a can of Crisco next to the
at the
bed
end, you're like, you want some chicken?
to fuck it right. And Sheena says her mom's a nasty bitch, y'all. And yeah, Bill. Wow. Okay, this is getting interesting. Just so people know, Sheena says Jay knows better. We use jelly lube. Water base evaporates quickly.
That's why it doesn't work so good in the shower.
You gotta use oil. Oil and silicone are good.
Silicone's really
Mostly
good.
oil.
Silicone's hard to get off. The water is good just if they're quick. If they take a long time, water's not the way to go.
Yeah.
On
Honey,
that.
grab the Brita.
Any other fetishes, though, besides that one? Because that's the one that's always taboo. You talk about it. If you have anal sex, you're a fag. I mean, that's just how people say it. And it's not the case. A lot of straight couples do it, but will never talk about it. And it's sad because it makes people ashamed when they enjoy it. That's the big problem we have with sex. It's a shameful thing.
I feel like there's a little less shame on it now that people are just out there eating them. So.
Yeah, eating ass. It's a cultural phenomenon in the last
It's
2
crazy.
years. Eating ass is taken off.
I didn't know it ever
off
left.
with that information.
I was gonna say the first time I got my ass eaten when I was 19.
I was in my teens both ways.
Oh no,
so,
I mean it's in like the meme culture. Like the young people are talking about it.
No, I knew I never wanted
say,
it. Like I never found it. I never found myself to want it because you ever like have some of that toilet water splash up after you poop and it hits there. I'm just like, that's not really a feeling.
I've got a
looking
bidet
for.
and it's an awesome
I
feeling.
shower.
Okay.
You're gonna try
Shower,
that?
yeah.
I shower.
You just
kinda
avoid
spread.
water on your ass at all times.
Keith, to answer your question too, I had that same ex. He had the biggest foot fetish.
Oh my god.
And that was like his thing. Like and it wasn't like, oh, let me rub your feet, because that one I would have enjoyed even more. It was like he liked getting foot jobs.
Yeah.
I hate feet 100%.
I had one of those.
Yeah.
Every
Like I
fucking
got a
way.
phobia of feet.
I don't want you
There's
touching
actually
my feet. I don't want to see your feet. They're just, they're nasty as shit.
They're the
There's a
worst.
whole
Of course I walk
Wikipedia
like-
for celebrity feet.
I don't.
Oh, Lewis.
Wiki feet.
At least it's got a sock on.
Say wiki feet.
Apparently,
why-
Jan and Bill. Ooh, Jan and Bill.
keep that
Jan says
sock on,
KY.
Oh my
Jan says Cornhusker lotion. Bill says rimming. This is
I
getting
just
very
realized
interesting.
deep down why I'm scared of Tarzan.
Gabe,
Get that monkey feet, bro.
Gabe says he won't even let a massage therapist touch his feet. I won't let anybody touch my feet. I think they're nasty. They're gross. I don't like the feeling of anything on my feet in any way. Angela agrees feet are gross. I know Angela thinks feet are gross 100% because feet are just
Yeah, we've had that
nasty.
conversation before.
Yeah,
Dude, I'll meet
I'm-
people. I'll be like, "What up, dude? Like, I'm Brandon. I'm scared of feet, and yeah, nice to meet you."
Scared of feet.
Yeah.
That's your introductory line. So she's got the foot fetish. Anybody else? Either do you have a personal fetish you're willing to share? And if you're not, I
do.
understand.
I do. I have one. I'm extraordinarily submissive. Like, in my life, I'm very dominant. I take control. I do what needs to be done. I do what I say I'm going to do. You know, I'm very dominant in my personality, who I am. But in the sack, no. Not even a little. Not even, like... I'm just completely and utterly submissive.
Well, I mean, I can share that same thing. I mean, Karen, you know me very well. And what is the one thing I always want? What do I say? Do you remember?
The one about you getting punched in the face?
Oh, that'd be nice too. But no, I ultimately, my goal, my fantasy, I just want to be someone's bitch.
Yeah, it's.
And I'm always like, I
that
just
was the next
wanna
thing in
be-
my head.
Okay.
but
Is
Is it because you're so
punching the
good at
face
taking
came first.
control? Like you
I think it's a
you
size
have a
thing.
quality of just controlling like a room. Like you can.
I
can
do
take
not.
over a
Shut
room.
up. So I want to ask. I don't. No, I don't. So I'm just kidding.
As he controls the conversation.
Yeah, I think I was lost.
No, he wanted to become my bitch during
Love
the
it.
conversation. So
Sheena's the dominant one with Jay most times. Well, that's because he's a little sissy boy. All right. I was like, no.
All right. So are we just talking about just fetishes or something that you want, not just something
Something you want to try you've never done, it counts too. We're not really heavy into the fetish right now, but it can have a fetish aspect to it.
Okay. Because I was just trying to ask Ashley here, like, if she has anything that she wanted to do. So, I mean, what better time than to ask her what she wants?
yeah, absolutely. Let's all judge her.
Because I was trying to figure something out that I like it. I couldn't really.
I don't know if is it just me, but Ashley reminds me so much of the band girl from American Pie right now.
Oh my god.
I just wanted to say this one time.
Well,
I love Alyssa Hannigan. So. Well, okay, so you keep asking her what's her response.
She doesn't really. She keeps saying that she doesn't really have like a fetish.
That's because you're fucking up, Lewis.
I'm trying to figure something out too because I can't quite think of anything that I like fantasize about. I mean, like she knows I'm obsessed with her ass. But that's like a typical guy thing. Like, oh yeah, it's such a nice ass. But like literally every time she undresses, I gawk at her.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's an important
You guys should
conversation.
make a.
No, I was just saying there's so much fetishes that sometimes like because I also don't really find anything out of the ordinary that I find like I want to try this thing that's kind of out there, and I don't feel like I should feel like well there's so many fetishes I'm wrong because I don't want to try something weird. I feel like it's okay to just be like I'm down with just the normal.
No, you
stuff.
can be down with regular stuff. Go ahead, Dominic. I want to bring both those up afterwards, so go ahead.
I think just as a recommendation to them too, and just everyone, like there are so many out there, and we don't experience enough dialogue about what people are interested in, and that we don't have a good vocabulary of what to even think about. And my one skill that I think couples should employ is making a want, will, won't list, where you challenge yourselves to just write down at least like 10 things per item of fetishes or things you want to try differently that you will do in the bedroom, you won't do, and things that you want to do, like, you know. And by establishing that ahead of time, you can sort of brainstorm together, like have fun with the process, because if you're going to be anxious about what kink you have, you're really missing the point of sex here. Like, it's supposed to be fun, and you should have fun, you know, just thinking of creativity in that way.
So I really love that idea, Dominic, but I feel like maybe Lewis would agree. I'd be hard pressed to find 5, let alone 10 things outside of what we already do that I want. You know what I mean?
Okay. Now here's the problem. First of all,
watch Days
I'm
and
gonna disagree with everything Dominic said for the most part, aside from the fact that sex is supposed to be fun. Because that part I do agree with. Sex is supposed to be fun. You say there's nothing you want. I want to remind people that when you were younger, you didn't even want to be, the boys didn't want to be around girls, girls didn't want to be around boys. Eventually you tried something, you liked it.
That's fair.
Eventually you tried, for some of the people on the panel, well, that's not actually, I can't go that route because you girls didn't like it as much on there, but you try stuff, you like it. You can't ask your partner, what do you want me to do to you? You kind of just have to start doing new things and spicing it up. That's how you discover stuff. If somebody asks you, you can't say it, but you discover what you like. And once you're intimate in that situation, you're going to discover a lot more.
I'd be like, hey, have an open mind.
If you love that person and you guys are intimate together, you're going to accept the no. You're going to accept this is the line. You're going to be fine with that. But most of the time, in the heat of passion, I mean, I would say probably 90% of the shit I do during sex grosses me out when I'm not horny. In the heat of passion, a lot of other things happen. And that's when you try it. So instead of asking, what do you want me to do for you? Say, do you want to try this? Or talk about things where you're actually pushing it on somebody else. Oh, what did you just ask her?
Oh, no.
I told her to charge the bunny. I recently bought a cock ring. So.
Okay.
How about sex
all right.
and
Going back to this right now, we're talking about the domination thing. How many people? Who's the dominant one in most sexual situations? I mean, I know I am. Karen, I know you are. You are.
I am not.
Oh, she
in
kind
fact.
of is.
In most of them, I'm talking.
No, you're submissive, but you're also dominant in a different way.
Who by force, not that wants to be. And Brandon, you're submissive, I would assume.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been the dominant one when like if they're submissive, I can be the dominant one. Mm-hmm. But it seems more often than not they like to be the dominant one, and I'm totally okay with that.
Okay, so you're just like not adventurous at all.
I mean, I if you want to go down that path, I'm down to go with. I guess I haven't been.
The show is called "Let's Talk About Sex." I want to go down that path.
So I'm not.
I got a question.
If I'm not with Davy Crockett, I'm not going to go searching.
Well, sometimes
far
it's good
as
to search. Then
general
it could be
fetishes.
bad too. Go ahead. What were you going to say, Jeremy?
As far as general fetishes, what does anyone think of like sex in perilous situations, like during skydiving or in a burning building? It was just kind of a thought that was going through my head.
That's what went through your head.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not going to say anything is wrong in any way because everybody's got their thing. That's actually not a very weird question. I think what's the weirdest thing is the way you put it in the examples you gave.
Okay.
With it. But if you think, no, I think if anything, that's where it is. But if you think about movies and stuff when you watch them too, when 90% of the time do they have sex in an action movie or a horror movie or something like that? It's
like
when
something's about
things
to
are
explode.
dire.
Yeah.
So that's
It's all
not a
arousal.
very unique thing.
I don't know.
It's excitation transfer.
Yep. I was gonna say Dominic's gonna have a cool word for what I'm about to say, which is like there's tension and craziness, so you translate that into passion. He's gonna have some scientific name for it.
Leave our expert
Yeah,
alone.
excitation transfer. When you're walking, like there's evidence to show that you actually find people more attractive if you've just walked across like a perilous, scary bridge than like in a more safe situation. And it's a part of it's just that everything in terms of physiological arousal is linked and overlapped in some way.
I find them most attractive when they're on my dick. That's about it. So Sheena says she's the dominant one with Jay most of the time. We got a few to go through here. Probably because she's the control freak. But sometimes she just wants to be treated like a little girl. It's an overshare, but what the hell? Angela had said my ex told me that he felt like I didn't want him because I never made the first move. I wanted to hit that one earlier and we didn't. But I'm going to try to get back to it in a minute. Jan says, Sheena has told me stories, so who's the nasty bitch? I love when they fight. And Sheena says, you are, Mom. All right. Jan follows with, tell me what to do, or I will just take over. Right there, Jan. Jan, that was my point that I was making with Lewis and stuff. Tell me what to do, I'll take over. Lewis, sometimes you got to be adventurous, and you know what? I said it on the last show, I'm going to say it again in the right way right now to you. Sometimes, Ashley, you got to put a finger in the butt. And that's just it's just the example that when you're doing it right now, try something, do something different and guys, you have a special advantage with guys because when we're about to come, it's really hard to pull us out of that. So you can try almost anything you want in that moment because we're just going to fucking finish, all right? So if you're going to do it, take advantage of that moment.
Although I would recommend to a limit, maybe not just doing something in that state.
Well, I mean,
depending on-
I'm not saying put a fist up there, but there's nothing wrong with massaging the anus or something like that. That was
long
an
as it's not
example, or
associated-
coddling the balls.
As long as there's no associated trauma or anything with that area, then yeah, go for it. I would just make
Or,
sure
in
you've done your
Ashley's
homework
case, smack him in the
beforehand.
face, say, what's my name, bitch?
Yeah.
It's usually about this much.
Back the kinks and
Yeah, something. But that's how you discover it. You cannot plan these things out. And if you keep thinking to plan or keep asking somebody, you're never going to be adventurous. You're never going to learn new things to do. And I say that because I am extremely experienced. So in all of this stuff, because I've never looked down on anybody for any sexual activity they've ever wanted to do. Even though I've said, not for me. And people have tried things. I'm like, no, this isn't good. I don't want to do it again. But if you don't try, you don't know, because I didn't enjoy the stuff I do enjoy until I tried it one time. Believe me, all of it pretty much scared me initially. But once you do it, it's not bad. Continuing, the best time to ask is in the moment. You try it and then decide there. Like, that's what I was just saying. You just, in the moment, if you want to do it, do it. Stop trying to please the other person, because sometimes the other person doesn't want to be the decision maker during sex all the time.
Yeah.
They don't want it.
I still think
yes,
you
it's
can-
nice.
you can plan.
If physically, it's nice that it's all about them. Physically, that's nice. But at the same time, sex is supposed to be adventurous too. It's got to be something to enjoy. If it isn't, it becomes stale. That's why married couples' sex goes downhill, because the adventure and stuff gets lost in it. And then you have kids, and then you're fucked for a long time. What were you going to say, Dominic? I got more comments to
I was
continue
gonna say,
afterwards.
I think that you can still be adventurous and still plan things ahead of time, though. In the same way that I can prepare for a week, an excellent date with a beautiful meal for my partner. Me and my partner can
This
sit
isn't
down
an
and
SAT
plan for the
test.
things we want to do. No, but I mean, what I'm saying is, I think that you can be spontaneous and still plan ahead and do all of those things rather than just in the moment. And that's more so what I just wanted to highlight.
It's like if you're driving the car, you don't want to wreck that car. You like that car, so you maybe talk about whether or not you hit that jump before you just hit that jump. 'Cause you might wreck the car. She might put that finger up there and then not talk to you for a while.
Car crash fetishes. And I appreciate your words because it does make sense. I want people to really pay attention. You are the expert, Dominic, and I want people to pay attention to what you say because it's nice to know that experts can be wrong. So I appreciate that a lot.
Speaking of car crashes.
It's like, no, your point of view is really good, and for some people it is good. But if what I'm referring to, and the reason I was bringing this up initially, was because he says he keeps asking her, and there's nothing.
Right.
Like he's constantly doing that. So you have to bring the adventure to her. Yes, it is a good thing to talk about certain things. He should know there's thresholds not to cross, and you should know there's thresholds not to cross as well, and that's in every relationship. To now get back in these comments here. When her man wants to try something, he'll come to me like a little puppy dog. It's adorable. Okay, that's weird. Bill is 6'2", 225 pounds. When he was young and dating spinners all the time, he was in charge. Bill, my question to you on that: do you ever get tired of it? Do you ever not want to be the dominant one for a change? Because that's where I come from.
It's like, hey,
Jan
Michael
says
Jordan,
it works
you
for
ever
me.
get
So in
tired
that
of
case,
championships?
no. Yeah, Sheena refers to her man as puppy. Bill says, who has named their sexual parts?
George.
George?
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I've heard other people name their cocks George.
Something about jungles. I don't know. I just like it.
It's curious.
Someone swing from my vine?
George.
Yeah.
Curious.
Oh, that would be... Curious George has no tail. It's not good. On that, anybody else have name for their body parts?
Only in my first relationship, and I can't remember what the name was.
I want to know now.
Nobody else, huh?
Helga.
Helga, you got problems, man. All right. I think I'm afraid of him rejecting me.
That's a lot.
She's going
There's
back.
a lot of that fear in sex.
Yeah.
Trying to do stuff and then
With making the first move. But you should, that's the one thing you get in a relationship that you should make clear, that you're going to let them know when the point is too far and that it's not going to ruin the night. I mean, I tell people all the time when people, because I'm still with people on occasion that have fetishes and they're worried about that. And I say, you know what? Do what you want to do. I promise you. If it's something I don't want to do, you'll know and we'll continue. Like, I'm going to let you know. And you got to build that comfort with people. You have to let them know you're still going to be there at that
That's not
point.
an easy comfort to build either.
Yeah.
Only if you're, like, a prude. Really. I mean, if you love this person doesn't want to hurt you. This person wants to enjoy and do things with you and try new things that they would never do with anybody else. You are very special in their life. You're
Right,
the
but
one
new
person they want to do with it.
relationships, and then you come to somebody like that, and they don't agree with you, you'd be like, might have to go.
If
Blow
you're
my
going to ruin
ear.
your whole relationship based on one aspect of sex they don't like, well, then you're in a wrong relationship.
Exactly, that's exactly true. But
Then let them go.
that will happen, and that's why it's hard
That's
for some
why-
people.
But, okay, do you think that would ever happen, Ashley and Lewis?
With us?
I don't know.
or
How long have they been
in
together?
general?
I didn't ask them that.
With what? Like if he tried
Do you-
something or...
Do you think just because he tried a sexual activity that you did not approve of, or vice versa, that you guys would just be split up and done?
With us, no, but we're not in a new relationship. And I definitely think, no, but like compared to like, if you were to like stick your finger up my butthole after the first time we did, I'd be like, whoa, dude, what are you about? I'd be like,
Strong start.
right now.
Yeah.
And now where it's like I'm more comfortable with you, we have that.
That's what I'm referring to. I'm not talking about the first time you're with somebody or early on in a relationship. I'm talking about established relationships where the luster can seem to be lost. You should be at that point that you can do that without having to ask for
that's definitely
lists.
true. That's definitely
That's what I'm
true, but
talking
I'm
about.
talking about like in the beginning.
No, in the beginning, no. Just basically do what you want if you don't plan on seeing the next day. So we only got one person that named his sexual parts. Jeremy had somebody that named his, but he doesn't remember what it was. Angela said the rejection. I'm the Willy Wonka of sex, Keith. Okay.
Because you need a golden ticket to do it.
You definitely fucking do.
And then you're
And a
going to swell
chocolate
up
bar.
like a weird blueberry.
Oh, God.
No?
That one hurt, man. That was just
I know,
rude.
that was too much.
That
I'm
was
sorry.
just rude. Bye. Okay, so anyway, we're just like, I can't do it. I love you. You're fine. Now I got to move everybody around again. Look at that shit. There we go. Okay, just so in
Fucking
the same
Hollywood
place.
Squares out here.
The guy talked to told me if a woman doesn't want what I'm doing for some reason, stop. That's simple enough. The young man doing most of the talking is overthinking things. The thing with Dominic is Dominic actually studies this stuff. So that's actually one of the reasons we got him on the show. He's very versed. He knows a lot of psychological aspects of this. And
I think the more people you meet means you're gonna overthink. You're gonna have more of experiences to work with, and it's people communicate their sexual language differently. And if it's people who I interact with intimately speak on the language that I do, and people who don't have other ways. But it's all just understanding it and trying to figure ourselves out.
Yeah,
that's true. And I mean, Bill, you're in a sense, Bill, you're just as guilty with just the way you look at other people. You overthink what everybody does for you, period, every minute of every day, because you think you know what's going on because you've met so many people. It's not really any different. I overthink it too. And like I said, Dominic can be wrong.
Go to Sheena's.
Tinkerbell. Tinkerbell is the name of hers. All right.
Why is there so much glitter?
Oh, God. All right. Bill has to let a woman take charge just because he didn't want to, and sometimes you do. But I have women who forcefully do it. Stalkers is a big thing in my life, unfortunately. And sometimes I find the best way to get rid of a stalker is to just have sex with them repeatedly, because that's all they want. Jan says, I'm going to know her so well before Sheena's wedding. Well, if we get drunk enough, I might know you even better afterwards. All right. Bill never named his penis. Splatter. Women have given it nicknames. Oh, God, here we go. Big Dick Billy, The Load, Cockzilla, Stanley. And when I had sex multiple times, the woman called it Dracula, where I was able to hit it again, risen from the dead. Wow. All right. The fact that you gave her that much time to come up with that much of a reason to come up with a name, you probably weren't doing everything you should have been.
Oh.
Nosferatu. I admire the Dracula, though.
It is. It's a good one. So we talked about a lot of stuff. Anything else? Anybody's ever had questions about anything anybody's done, anybody's felt is weird that other people might be going through? Oh, you did. We didn't hit another one. I'm going to hit it anyway. Experimentation.
Was that not the last 20 minutes?
Nope. Experimentation.
Oh, you meant like with other cars.
With other cars.
Okay.
With other diesel engines.
Try reverse. Try a 6-speed. Try a shifter.
Now, most people in their lives, and I'm not going to ask any of this panel to expose anything because it's your freedom to keep things secret, but the fact is that probably how many people are on here? 7 people? 4 of you that are not myself have probably experimented with somebody of the same sex at some time, whether it be from elementary school, whether it be from growing up or going to college. Is anybody, and if you don't, just don't raise your hand, that's fine. Anybody want to share any of that experience?
I mean, I wouldn't call it like experimentation because I found out really early that I like chicks too. So, but I'm like 80-20, I guess is what people call it, is because I don't want relationships with women. Just once in a while I want to fuck them.
That's really, I agree with that one. That's kind of where I am on that too. Women are definitely more likely to admit it than guys out there. But the guys are so silent, and I can promise anybody watching this that there are probably 3 of these 4 that have experimented at some point in their life that are not admitting to it, and that's fine, but I'm not going to tell you which one. Which ones? Don't look all weird, Lewis. I'm just saying, statistically, that is probably the case, and they probably liked it, and they probably move further along with it. A lot of people who do experimentation out there feel that it's wrong, and they're so afraid. The fact that the guys are so silent right now is what it builds up to. But women can be vocal about it.
It's absolutely fine.
I will say one level.
What,
I experimented once, slightly. Slight experiment once. I did kiss someone just because I was like, well, might as well see how I feel. And I was like, nah. Then that was it.
You rebel. That's how you found out. Yeah.
That way you know. That way you know.
Yeah, because you peck somebody. Okay. But no, most people have gone further with experimentation, and that's one thing that I was asked to cover on this show. People wanted to talk about it. So we don't have anybody on the panel that would. I know we would have if we had the people that couldn't make it as well. They would have volunteered a little bit more information. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it. But it's not a unique thing, and it's very common. Most people are ashamed. I talk to my friends still that stuff like that has happened to. And, yeah, they're a little more out with me, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. but they're ashamed of it. They're ashamed of how people see it. And anything you do sexually, period, with anybody is your fucking body. It's your fucking choice. Nobody else has a say. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's what you want to do in that time of your life. Most people have experimented. Most people who have experimented have chosen a path. And they may never go back to that again. And that's also extremely common, too. But don't feel ashamed and don't lock it away. And this is not to people on the panel. This is for people watching. You are who you are and you're amazing. And everything you've done has actually built you up to be a better person because of that. Now, we're almost done here, because this is our longest show we've ever done. Obviously, it's sex. Yeah, so we're almost done here.
Really?
But I got to get to this.
2 hours with car or something.
No, 2 hours is the longest we've done. I don't know what they're talking about. Jan White says vegetable. Sheena yells mom. Sheena says, you know what? Never mind. Good call. Bill says, I have some weed whips, leaf blowers, and jigsaws that I've altered to sex toys, all gas-powered and for sale. Please leave your number in the comments. Let me guess, a cucumber. Carrot is too thin.
So there was a show.
And too rough a texture. Wow.
There was a show called 1,000 Ways to Die. And they ruined carrots for me, because one of the ways to die was a woman that was getting it on with a carrot, and she cut it wrong, and it like cut her inside, and she died from it. So that's what the vegetable comment made me think of.
That is messed up. We covered a lot of stuff this show. I appreciate everybody who's been on here too, because there was a lot of interesting stuff that happened. Now, Ashley, before we go, the first thing you said on this show, you have sat so proper for most of this show. You said you couldn't wait to learn more stuff about him. Do you feel you learned anything new?
Well, definitely body count, because we've never discussed that before. Overall, it was just reassuring. I guess we communicate pretty well, and we know what we're both comfortable with and willing to try new things and know each other's comfort level too.
Now, as far as the couples on here, the two couples we have on here, how brave you feeling?
Oh, I have the same comfort level as I did before we had this conversation.
All right. So how? Everybody good right now? All right. I want the 4 people who are in couples. I want it right now. We'll discuss it too. I want you to ask the person you're with something you haven't asked them before that you want to know.
Oh.
Along those lines.
Oh.
Even if it's something they would enjoy, even if it's a fetish, would you be comfortable with blah, blah, blah?
I'd be comfortable with pretty much anything.
I was going to say, we already had this conversation,
yeah, pretty much.
Already from the beginning. We were like, we're comfortable with this and not comfortable
Yeah, but there's
with
got to
this.
be something you've got to add. There's always something. I don't care who you are.
I am wondering if maybe he wants to, get a third, because, I'm down for a threesome.
There you go.
That's just me, though.
That's weird that the woman asking.
But we've
too, in
already had that
situation.
conversation. We just haven't really discussed it so far.
Well,
as
then
in
you're
a
asking it
person.
right
Yeah,
now.
we've thought about that. We've both had thoughts about those kinds
Yes.
of things.
So,
That you can never. I don't know. It's hard to trust the third person that gets involved, though. So many horrors.
as long as
can't
you
be.
trust your partner, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Well, that's why I'm
Sometimes
saying to
I
ask
get-
it here. The reason I'm doing this, and if you're willing to, is because people watching often have questions, and you can show how easy it is sometimes to ask these questions, and that it could just be a standard run-of-the-mill. Are you interested in ever getting a third? Because people wouldn't know. Back to something really quick before I go to Ashley and Lewis, who are talking in private, who I'm sure want to share these questions.
No.
Gabe says he's experimented. It's healthy, and it's how you figure yourself out. And Jan says you got to do what you can. All right, so Jeremy, I don't think you're going to ask a question, but if you'd like to.
Did you have something that you wanted to ask me?
There's nothing right off the top of my head I can, really
All right, we'll
push
think
out.
with a lower head next time. All right, Ashley and Lewis. Just one from either one of you.
Now, here's the thing, though, because compared to probably a lot of couples that are watching the show right now, our relationship is pretty new. We've been together 2 years.
Oh, we haven't even been together that long.
Right.
Well, but we're also younger than you guys.
True that.
So
2 years is a larger percentage of their life.
So right now,
Thanks.
right now, I'm perfectly happy with how things are. And in our future years, I might ask her to experiment with some more things. But right now, I'm perfectly happy with sex with her.
Yeah, but this was perfectly right now your opportunity to ask her, what is it you want me to do for you?
Is there anything
I-
you
I-
want me
I-
to do?
that she
Oh,
can
is that
answer
the
at
question?
any
Ooh.
time. If she knows them well, at any time, anywhere, she could ask me, can we try this? And I'll be totally open and I'll be totally honest with her too.
Well,
So
this
is
is
there anything,
anytime,
Ashley?
anywhere.
I already got my fetish. I actually thought of a fetish that I do have.
All right, go ahead.
So,
This'll
well,
count.
it's actually, so I've always been super careful condom wise. Always worn a condom. I've never worn a condom with her. I've always had this fetish of just like getting like wanting to get her pregnant.
That's common.
That is a reproductive fantasy.
That's super common.
It's a fantasy. It's a question.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It could be
I've
anything.
never had that though. She's the only one I've ever had that with.
Jan, go ahead. Ask the lady something. Go ahead. Continue.
As long as it's not about cucumbers.
Zucchinis are fine.
But she's the first one that I've actually seen myself actually like go all the way with, like family wise, house wise. We just bought a house together,
Nice.
so it's like I would have no problem wanting to get her pregnant. But ever since we first started dating, like
Now, is that an 18-year-long fetish?
Is that
I was
an
like,
18-year-old
want you to think clearly about this.
Right.
if she got pregnant right now, I'd be okay with it. Obviously, we just bought a house together. I'm stuck.
You're never stuck. Never feel
Like how
stuck. But
Ashley's
you
like-
seem
You
happy.
bought a house today? Did you just say today?
No, 2 weeks ago we bought a house.
Well, congratulations. It's a great
Good,
yeah, market to do
congrats.
it in right now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I work
great.
in the industry, so I had to make sure.
Mine should be available soon. So
Like Ashley's gonna be like, my fetish is for you to turn the fucking camera back towards me and not so much on you.
that's Lewis. Lewis totally just like squeezes in on there like this is my show.
Sorry.
All right. Okay. Here we are. Have you ever seen your man or man
Interesting.
masturbate and get off?
I thought she said master. Or
Is that
That's what
is
she
that
said. I'm pretty
masturb-
sure she
I'm
means
pretty sure
masturbate.
she means masturbate too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yes,
Not a master
several
beating.
times.
Have you ever got me?
no, not him. I have with exes before, and it hasn't really done anything for me.
What about you, Karen?
Yes, I absolutely have.
Did it do anything for you? Is what I mean.
The fact that they're getting off does.
Okay, so that's where your pleasure comes from. It.
Yeah.
I was curious, Jan. That was an interesting question with no backup reason for it. So I
I've
was
thought
just
about
curious.
it. I'm like, I don't know if that would do some. Maybe for some people that does it for them, maybe not.
It
Some
does
others.
because it's a
Well,
power
Well,
trip.
my total pleasure with anybody, period, is watching them get off. I don't care who it is. I will get more from that than I will any other activity.
There's a
Unless I'm not
website for
looking
this,
at it.
actually. There's a website for only people masturbating from the shoulder up called Beautiful Agony. And there are people who
Yeah.
just get off to people's moaning and facial look while they're getting off.
Weird share. That's like my number one thing. Like the reason I'm most into sex is your beautiful agony, if you will.
The way that I've experienced it, it's been in a dominant submissive way, basically like over my face and like
Just
because he's
Louis
on top
CK.
of me and he can looking down at me wherever he wants to do it is where he does it. So that's kind of the way I've experienced it.
Okay, so the answer, Sheena, tonight I discovered something new about my mom. Just one thing.
Too much.
Just one star,
Was it-
just one.
Just one has got to be a little bit more
it-
there.
There's a train of carrots going by, and
They're gonna be eating dinner tomorrow. Like, stop looking at me in the eye. Stop.
Nobody's ever gonna shed a carrot in their house again.
I have once, sadly, my stepfather against my shoulder. Well, that went dark.
solid one to end the show on.
I guess I can't, follow up with the bad, like, did you like it? Because obviously not.
Obviously not.
Just one, Sheena says, the only thing she learned, was that it? Because I just learned that one too. That's not the same. If you experience it, Jan, you're viewing it from a totally different perspective. I mean, asking these women whether they liked it or not. I appreciate you asking and engaging because that's what we like. but they have a different perspective than you could possibly have on that.
Yeah, I don't have
'Cause
that.
they
It
just
wasn't
did-
like that kind of situation. I mean, it was like in a sexual, my partner context.
Right.
Oh, you get a lot of info, Sheena. She lives with you. That's always good. So, yeah, we learned a lot about everybody and a lot about everything. And, well, we just did because we're a bunch of sexual deviant perverts and
We
crap
broke
like that,
2
except for
hours with it.
Brandon. Yeah. I mean, the show was called Let's Talk About Sex, and we absolutely let's talk about sex. That's what we did. Pretty much everything we could possibly cover, I think we did on there. Sex gets a bad rap for a lot of people. Sex, oddly, is one of the most enjoyable things in the world, and it's something that's looked down upon. That people just, like we said at the start of the show, they don't want to discuss it. And the worst thing about anything sexual is shame associated with it. If we're not talking some of the dark situations we covered in the past and some where they're briefly brought up, especially towards the end of the show on this one, there's nothing to be ashamed of. There's no group out there that can tell you what you can or can't do with your own body. There is no side of politics that can tell you what's right or wrong. There is no religion that can volunteer for what you feel in your heart and can give you that information. That is all up to you. Your feelings, how you were raised and all that do have an impact on your life. But what you choose to do in the privacy of your bedroom, whether alone with somebody else or a group of 10, it doesn't really matter. Groups of 10 are fun, by the way. It doesn't really matter. Enjoy it. You get one time to go around. Don't be somebody who's missed out on all these wonderful things it has to offer, because that's one of the most pleasurable times of your life, literally, even though it lasts for seconds. Sex is, we're talking about the actual moment, the climax, Brandon, as you're looking
Gotcha.
away like seconds.
Like
No, it takes longer than that.
Weird
No.
attack, but
Fucking Minutemen over there. But no, just because it only, it's one of the best feelings in the world, and I wish people wouldn't feel so ashamed to talk about it or so ashamed of what they did. Obviously, don't go have a beer with somebody. Hey, by the way, I didn't get to tell you, last night I got fucked in the ass by a 9-inch dildo.
a lot of them will say that
You don't want to do that.
without you asking.
If they drink enough, they will, and you don't want them to. But
like,
don't be
"Thanks,
ashamed
Paul."
of it. Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to experiment. Keep the sex drive alive. Some people have been in relationships for a very long time now. On this show, we had some panelists that were the longest one we have right now, I think, is Ashley and Lewis, who have been in it for 2 years now. As far as that goes, but keep the drive alive, because you get older, that's going to go down. It's going to get worse. It's going to get harder. So keep trying new things. Don't be afraid of who you're going to piss off. Don't be afraid of your partner. As Jan says right here, she misses it, and it's true. She really does, because it's going to change. So keep happy. Keep enjoying things. Don't let anybody ever tell you what you can and can't do. I don't, and I'll tell you what. I'm fucking happy as fuck because of it. So, once again, today's topic was Let's Talk About Sex, baby, where we talked about, that's right, sex, something Bill was looking forward to. Sadly, Lenny could not be here, and Bill, I'm glad you stayed, because I didn't think you were going to when you found out Lenny wasn't here. Coming up on Tuesday, I know it's usually a Wednesday show. It's going to be happening this Tuesday. The category is We've Got the Funk, Dealing with Depression. We're going to hit a lot of deep stuff regarding depression. We've got an entire slew of new panelists to bring on for you. People who've never been on the show before, as well as some of our regulars, because, well, we love them too. So be there for that. Remember, that is Tuesday at 7. There will not be a Sunday show following. We will be back the following Wednesday, as I will be out of town. And without me, there's no show. I'm just saying. Basically, because I just have the software and I run it, so it's that simple. Nobody else does. Maybe sometimes somebody will, like Brandon, who's going to do it way back in September. But other than that, yes, stay tuned in. I want to thank you. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow to Ear Shoulder Voice on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and I think that's it, because Periscope's gone, so that's it. Periscope's leaving us. And thank you for being here, Brandon. Glad you were able to pop on.
Yeah, it's good talking to everybody. Nice to meet you guys that I haven't met yet.
Sheena, you can be on that show if you want. Just let me know. We'll try to get you on. It's on Tuesday. Dominic, good to have you here. Great insight. We actually talked about this show way back in October, November, I believe. And you said you were definitely all for being on it, and we finally had it. So glad to have it. I've never really met somebody, honestly, who studied sex. in the way you have. So
you can overthink, but it's fun. Thank you. I appreciate you having me on here.
yeah, it was. I actually learned some stuff I didn't even know, like psychologically, because I really am that person. Like, well, I'm fucking you because it feels good. That's what I'm thinking. I'm doing the things I'm doing because it feels good. But I appreciate that insight. It made me think a lot that I'm actually kind of fucked up, and I appreciate learning that I'm so fucked up.
Thanks,
On there.
You're welcome.
Lewis and Ashley, you guys are a new couple. You are starting out. You look 2 years is not as new as I think you're acting like it is. I know a lot of people get married after 2 years, so get that ring out, get ready, and get that baby in that oven, because that's what Lewis wants and that's what you want. You guys can compromise. All right? On that. Thank you for being here. I loved your perspective on everything you talked about. That was nice to have it. Lewis, I know that you were a little nervous about this. Surprisingly, Ashley seemed to be a little bit more the quiet one on this show.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
I like that she said body count like it was a serial killer thing.
I know.
I enjoyed that too.
That was just kind of subliminal to him. Like, yeah, if you do it to anybody else, the body count's going up. On there. Jeremy and Karen, you guys are an amazing couple right there. I know, Karen, you have a different perspective to look at on this. We didn't touch on it too much, but we did at the start for a bit. That was really nice. You guys seem really happy together. It's really nice to see people that find each other and enjoy the time and accept each other for who they are, and also accept new and exciting things.
Yeah, he loves me unconditionally. That's what I like.
Yeah, you got a hell of a piece of clay there. I'm just telling you. That's going to be awesome. You're going to be able to really take care of that. You guys have been fantastic. Thank you again for joining us for Ear, Shoulder, Voice. You all have a great night, and we'll see you again on Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
See ya.
Oh, God, a bunch of fucking perverts I got to deal with. Just saying.
It was so funny. It was so funny. You're talking about perverts. Jeremy just went to the bathroom and he's like, "We're not the after show, are we?"
Everybody who's on the panel is part of the after. It's just a few more minutes to converse amongst each other, and we're supposed to pretend we're not actually in an after show, but it never works that way. Somebody's always got to mention it.
Somebody's always got to say it.
I actually came up with a brand new a bit for stand-up that's like very fitting for this.
You want to try it out?
Kinda. Maybe I'll just do it for you guys. All right, so
bonus for the after show. Do it.
It's never going to work on like a podcast format, but all right. So there's only two parts of the female body I'm not a big fan of. We already talked about it, but the other part, any guesses? Any guesses of what part of a female body I'm not really all that into? Nobody. That's right.
Armpit.
Vaginas. That's right. It's weird. It's weird.
God, it
like,
took me a second. Okay.
I don't have that wiring where I'm like attracted to the actual vagina. I don't know what.
Oh, you were serious? I just thought you meant you weren't in one.
No, like so they just kind of remind me of a weird Star Wars monster that just kind of like it evolved to no longer need teeth and just kind of devours its food by eating it and slowly.
Oh my god. Are you telling me that you're comparing a vagina to a sarlacc pit?
Kinda, they use
That's
the
what it
mucuses.
is. Yeah.
They use mucuses to like digest their food.
Sounds
I
like
can't
Predator.
even handle you right now, Brandon.
They feed, and then eventually once a month they
I can't even handle you right now,
regurgitate
Brandon.
the blood of their victims out. But I still like the way they feel because as any Star Wars storyline will tell you, enemies can become the best of friends.
We talked about that, Keith, about sex on your period.
Oh God, Red Wings.
Oh,
There were six other people here. Somebody could have mentioned sex on your period.
It is scary the first time you do that. And then, like, everyone's like, well, if you don't like vaginas, why do you even, like, mess with them? I'm like, well, because I enjoy the stimulus that I get when I'm giving a good...
Don't get me wrong,
like,
vaginas
tongue
are fucking
performance.
gross.
Yeah, no,
They really are. If you think about them and what they do and what they actually look like, they're gross as fuck.
Yeah,
it's the same
but-
thing with an ass, but they're great to fuck.
They're just so much fun when, like, you just put your tongue on their little forehead nubbin, start giving a good performance, they start getting mad. And they try and,
My God.
they try and devour your finger with the mucuses.
How many people you been with?
Less than the moon landings.
Ouch. Let's keep talking like that. You're not going to be with him anymore.
I watched a lot of Star
That's
Wars
not
last
great.
week.
Like, and it reminds you of a
Say,
vagina.
Brandon.
It's going to make for a very interesting first date. Don't do that. Highly recommended.
Please don't ever do that again.
I'm doing that on the show for a live, like a video call thing for Mark Ridley's Comedy Castle, so that should be fun.
That'll be cool. Hopefully they didn't watch this show. The millions of people that watch this show didn't already see it.
The millions.
You get a live
Millions
look in.
and millions.
Hey, we went international last week if you missed it.
Really?
Really
yeah.
now?
Some guy
Yeah.
in India is like, oh my god.
Yes. That was a great accent, you racist.
No, I used to work at a gas station. It's fine.
Oh, okay, so it's fine. That's part of the application process. I'm sorry. No, we had somebody. I thought he was from the U.S. Or the election show that we had, or not the election show, the anarchy show.
Capital.
And he came in. He was asking questions, a lot of stuff, and I asked where he's from. I thought he was going to say a state. He said, "No, I'm from the United Kingdom." I'm like, "Cool, good reach."
Cool, cool.
Yeah,
I like that. That's a nice thing to hear.
look at us.
Hey Keith, my dog's being a bitch and giving me the stare down, so I might have to hop out. But I appreciate you guys having me on.
Hell yeah, Dominic.
Well, we were
nice
glad to
meet you.
have you on. Thanks for leaving us.
Bye, Dominic. Thanks for coming.
Bye, Dominic.
Appreciate
You were
it.
awesome. You were awesome, Dominic.
Hell yeah.
No, I really appreciate the opportunity, and you guys were very fun to get to know. So have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. You too.
Good night. Yes, Sheena, it did. I'm so happy.
That's exciting.
That's awesome.
Sorry for that guy in the UK that you had to see that bit.
No, he was fine with it, I'm sure. His name was Zacinator. I thought it was the coolest name in the world. I was glad to have him on there.
That's pretty dope. That's what he calls his
Zacinator?
penis. That's his name for his
Zacinator.
penis. I have Georgie as Zacinator.
George and Zacinator. Zacinator's going to kick George's ass. I'm just saying.
It's a sword fight.